Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Monster Hunter World Iceborne livestream. It is the 6th of May, and it's 2:21 a.m. in the morning, and I'm playing with an eye patch. That's right, I've been getting these terrible headaches behind my left eye. Pretty sure my right eye is the dominant eye, and so I need to see the eye doctor. They're giving me really bad migraine headaches, and it's really been killing my productivity, so I gotta see the doctor soon. In the meantime, I have a makeshift eye patch, and we'll see if it's effective. Actually, it's really garbage because it's much harder to play when you're using one eye. We're back on the Xbox. That's right, Xbox over and over again. You want to know why? Because my Xbox account has the most stuff on it. It's pretty simple, actually. The other reason is I hate hooking up all the different consoles. It's not a lot of work. I'm just really lazy. This is another one of my chat time live streams. I've reached a point in the game where there's really nothing left for me to do, so I will join you guys on whatever event quest you might need help on. In fact, I'd love to help people with their event quests. Maybe they got a little bit of grinding to do. I could probably do some grinding myself in the guiding lands, but I'll just join you guys with whatever you want help with. In the meantime, we'll focus on having a nice conversation about whatever you guys want to talk about. I'll turn this music down a little bit. Got some music playing in the background. Yep. All right, let's see how it goes tonight. Xbox dead console, LMAO, you don't even have an exclusive. What you doing on PlayStation with all those single player games you already beat? Nothing, that's what. What are you guys talking about? You guys having a little console war already? Holy shamoles. This is my Paralysis Glaive build that we used earlier. We used it last time. Guess I'll keep playing with it. You guys are welcome to do weapon requests. So some of you guys are kind enough to leave a donation, and whenever you do leave a donation, you're welcome to decide what weapon I use next, and I will use whatever you ask for. How's it going, City? He says, thanks for another stream. Just passed Extreme Behemoth yesterday. Cool, man. Cool, Steve. He's doing pretty cool. He says, good evening. Good evening. Shooter says, bro, what up, bro? Not Worthy says, any suggestion tank hammer build from PH? Did I get the, hold on, did I type the session ID information wrong? Let me check this out. 3NHL BCZM RYQQ. Huh. I just expected this to be fuller than it is. Can you show me a good longsword build? What is the best gamma armor set? Mosca says, I keep getting fricked by RNG. I got every elemental charge blade, but not the ice one. Patrick says, good morning. He must be from Europe. Look at this bug, man. It's a cool looking bug. Kid says, hiya, heya. Man, I was looking at Twitch. One of the, some of the figures I watch are the stream charts for Monster Hunter. The other figure I watch is how many people actually stream Monster Hunter on Twitch. And man, it is not where it used to be. There's like 2,000 to 3,000 viewers for Monster Hunter, which is much lower than it used to be. So these live streams we host here over on YouTube are some of the best, actually. Did you guys know that? I bet you guys didn't know that. Our live streams will sometimes get between 300 and 500 viewers. That's actually pretty solid. Really great numbers. It competes quite well with the top streamers on Twitch, despite the fact that we're not on Twitch, we're on YouTube. So we do quite well. It's really surprising. And man, you know, if we're running like 500 viewers, considering there's only like 3,000 to 2,000 over on Twitch, that's ridiculous. Over here on YouTube, so many people. So we have a really cool community, and it impresses me a lot. I've been thinking a lot about the future too, like what are we going to do in the future? I think actually there's a large enough audience that I can just keep playing Monster Hunter from now on out. The only problem is I just don't feel like I have anything to do other than wait for a Latreon, and that could be like a full month and a half, who knows. And I'm pretty much done with Furious Rajang, Raging Bracky. You know, I played Arch-Tempered Namiel a few times. Really, it's just the skins you're after, but I like my Silver Knight armor skin, so I don't need to do that either. And so we're waiting for a Latreon, and that's it. I don't have anything else to do. So, yeah, feel free to ask me for help, and let's see what you guys are posting. We'll have more live streams like this one. We could talk about interesting subjects. I always enjoy a good conversation. The numbers are low because of lack of content. Yeah, I agree. What's your master rank in PlayStation 4? Oh, I don't know, actually. Gameconomist and breakfast. Such a nice combination. Hamza says, Arch-Tempered Namiel, pretty terrible. Oh, yeah. So the design for Arch-Tempered Namiel is just really disappointing because they're doing exactly what they did in the base game that people didn't like. They just increased the health and they just increased the damage mostly. And then it's the same fight. So, yeah, I don't know. I didn't actually like the... Am I the only one who didn't like the Arch-Tempered... Or, I'm sorry, not the Arch-Tempered. Am I the only one who didn't like the Namiel fight to begin with? Namiel's like smacking a wet diaper or something. I don't know how quite to describe it. You're smacking like a jizz sock or something. It's hard to describe. It's not very satisfying to do damage to Namiel. And she's so similar to Valhazak in her body structure, the same way that Velkhana is similar to Kushala Daora, that it kind of detracts from the entire experience. It all kind of blends into itself and starts to feel the same. See if there's anything to join. Shocking climax. I guess we'll join. Hamza says it's lazy and disappointing. Yep. I just bought Iceborne. Any recommendations or tips? Start killing everything. Max says you probably have optical migraines, which can be caused by getting close to a TV. I had regular migraines when I was younger, and they gave me a medication that stopped them for a while. Yeah, Max, I can't decide what to do first. See a doctor or see an eye doctor, because it's been something I've been dealing with actually for maybe longer than 3 months, but the headaches have been mild, and I mostly just take like a painkiller and rest, and that's enough. But lately, particularly yesterday, I had an especially long stream day yesterday. This stream on this channel was like 2.5 hours, and then the card channel was 3 hours and 40 minutes, a total of 6 hours streaming. And I had not really slept that day. I slept for about 4 hours, maybe 5. I had one small meal. I had like an omelet, and that's it. And so by the end of that, by midway through the card stream, I had this full-on headache going, but I was like, I'll just fight through the pain. Who cares, right? And then by the end of the card stream, I'm feeling like a wreck by the end of it. You know, have you guys ever had a really serious tension headache or something, or migraine? Feeling like a wreck by the end. So I end the stream, and I immediately go and lay down. I have to turn off every light. I have to close the door. I have to close the blinds. All sound has to go away, and I'm just lying there trying to recover, and I fall asleep. Like 4 hours later, I'm awake, but I'm like shaky. I feel very nauseous. I feel like I'm going to throw up. You know, I'm just waiting to throw up. I'm trying to fight it. That's what you do when you feel like throwing up. The first thing you do is fight the urge to throw up, because nobody likes throwing up. But yeah, I'm like shaky, pins and needles on my fingertips. I start by eating like carrots and stuff like that to try and get myself back up to, give myself some energy. But it was shocking how bad it was. I've never had it so bad before. And I have just this horrible pain right behind my left eye. Right behind my left eye and through my head and my neck and shoulders. So I've done all the research. I've done all the reading. You know, we're all medical doctors now that we got WebMD. And it sounds very much like I'm having eye strain, which is causing a migraine headache. That's exactly what it sounds like. Eye strain that then creates a migraine headache. So I really did all the things you're not supposed to do, and I've never had it that bad before. So now I definitely want to talk to a doctor and an eye doctor, to be honest, because I've read maybe it could be related to you. Apparently you have like a dominant eye and another one that more like supports it, and the one that's supporting it could be the one that's getting tired and triggering the migraine. Well, it's my left eye that gets the pain, and my right eye, I'm pretty sure that's always been my dominant eye. Like, that's the eye that I use when I'm aiming. You know what I'm talking about? You ever use a gun and you gotta like close one eye and look out the other eye in order to aim better? That's usually your dominant eye, right? So all that stuff's on my list to do. I don't really know how it works nowadays though, like with all the coronavirus and all that, right? Did I just put on a mantle and take it off? Oh, playing with one eye is terrible. Anyways, I was just shocked by the amount of pain though. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this headache's killing me. I'd never had a headache hurt so bad. It was really intense. It was like having fire in your head. It was like, I don't know. You know, it didn't throb, and it wasn't like a sickness fever. Have you ever been sick and you get like a fever and it like heats up your head? It wasn't like that. It was like having a very intensely sore muscle. That's what it was like. Except the muscle is your brain. Yeah, and it just sits there and it hurts indefinitely. I was like, please, Lord, take me. It's like a toothache almost. You ever had a bad toothache? It's like one of those, but you can't get out of it. Well, and that's what defines a toothache. Pain just stays and stays. And you know, I took some ibuprofen finally, and that helped a little bit. But it was so bad. It took me like I want to say probably about 6 hours of lying down before I was free of all the pain. It was so intense. I would say about 6 hours of just lying there and suffering. And yep, so it's time to see a doctor, time to see an eye doctor, find out what's going on. I'd had these problems before, and the last time I talked to my doctor, he said I probably ought to consider getting special glasses for when I'm working on the computer, because I told him I'm a streamer as my primary job, right, as my career, and he's like, oh, you need to get like special glasses for that. I was like, sure, great, that sounds great. I never did it. I never did it. I just told him I would, and then I promptly moved on to not doing that. So that's on my list. That's what I gotta do now, and I'll probably start working on it tomorrow, because I can't have this. It's going to kill my productivity. I'll wait till it's a catastrophe. And I do not even know what I'm doing right now. This game is like impossible to play with one eye. This feels terrible. It feels like I'm honestly like I'm just pressing buttons. Do you think some content in Iceborne will get axed due to the corona? Well, it'll probably get delayed. It's harder to say if it'll get axed, but I suppose it's possible, yeah. They made it sound like we were supposed to get a Roshi Kirin in World, and that got axed, didn't it? Remember that, guys? Yeah, I apologize. The gameplay tonight is going to be really bad. I between reading your comments and trying to watch this fight, I do not feel like I can barely even see what's going on. Oh, there's the mount, though. Jeremy says, love your content and your sarcasm. Keep it up. Thanks, man. Josh says, sorry about your eye. No problem, man. Hopefully, I get it all sorted out soon. Hopefully. Distant says, do you think some content... Oh, I already read that one. CEO of ignoring doctor's orders. That's right. I hear wearing sunglasses might help temporarily. Well, yeah, I did that actually today. During the card stream, I started wearing sunglasses. And I don't think it helped because the pain actually started to return behind my left eye right near the end. Like, I stopped the stream very abruptly because my new rule was going to be if I feel any pain at all, I'm going to stop. And about 2.5 hours in, the pain comes back, and I immediately shut down the live stream once that began. And it's been here all the way till now. It's 2 a.m. in the morning. I think it's been about 4 hours since the card live stream, and I still have the pain. It's mild. Like, I actually have the pain behind my left eye right now, but it's mild, and I put on this makeshift eye patch to see if it would help. We'll have to see. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to bring this guy down, right? Soft as a pillow. And he's down. What the hell? I just went with an orange ball. He about to roar. Brrr! So let's see what you guys are saying. That sim turns you described called sleep deprived. That's a throwback. Would you say the Guiding Lands is a bit scary at times? I would say that the Guiding Lands, it's scary how boring it is. I wouldn't call it scary, though. I don't think this game was ever scary. Grab my Shamos. Maybe if you're like 12 years old, it might be scary. All good, my guy. Just get better so we can get the Lance video. Shane says, hey, I just got a pair of glasses for me when I was using the computer. It's called Sixes? Oh, blue light filter glasses. I don't think that's what the doctor was talking about, though. I don't think he was talking about blue light glasses. Pretty sure he was talking about just glasses that help your eyes with eye strain due to staring at a fixed object. So apparently you're not supposed to do that. Apparently you're supposed to look away, you're supposed to blink, and all this other good stuff. But like, here I am doing live streaming all day. At a minimum, you should wear blue light filter glasses. Well, true. You can also make changes to your computer, not your computer, your monitor or TV settings. That helps as well, which is something I've done. Pirate GE, that's right. You guys ready for face reveal? We're gonna do face reveal right now while I'm wearing the patch. Heavy bowguns are getting out of hand. Time to remove them from future Monster Hunter games, says Lance. You know, I don't feel like they need to be removed. I just feel like they need to be more skill-based. One of the frustrating things about the heavy bowguns is once you learn how to manage your stamina, and generally especially with heavy bowgun, once you learn how to guard, you're pretty much done, and then you just have this really cheesy weapon, you know what I mean? Like, you can just do so good with this weapon. And I have to agree that it's kind of frustrating how powerful it is and how simple it is to use. It's not necessarily going to be like the fastest weapon in the game when you use like sticky ammo. And yet, sticky ammo's considerably easier than everything else. And then it also has spread ammo, which actually is the fastest weapon in the game, right? Like spread ammo... Oh, I don't want to do that. Spread ammo is one of the... No, oh my god. Yeah, this is annoying. This is because I can't see what I'm doing. Hey, let's just climb in here. But yeah, so for the heavy bowgun, you're either using sticky or you're using spread, and it's just kind of frustrating. You shouldn't say that it doesn't require any skill either, because it actually does require skill, but it's just frustrating that it seems to be much easier than other weapons. It certainly seems to trivialize the usefulness of the lance. Like, why do you need a lance when the heavy bowgun exists? I'm a software developer and got a separate set of glasses specifically designed for work at a computer. They even factored in the distance from my face to the monitors, and I think they actually help, says Patrick. Oh, very interesting. Okay, so maybe they'll be able to help me with that. Heavy bowgun needs new move. Slaying the globalist thoughts on the 7 Seas. Josh says, I too have been caught up with content for some time. Now I farm decorations, and I'm working on improving my kill times. I definitely have an idea of what weapon I excel with. Oh, where are we? We don't need to be here. Waiting to fight Namiel. Ha-ho, Silver. What I would really like to see come to the weapons in Monster Hunter are weapon arts. And they don't have to be like the ones in the past game. They had like hunter arts in the past game, right? But I'm thinking of weapon arts more similar to like what Dark Souls had, where you can have a weapon and it has like a unique move that has some sort of usefulness to it. Maybe like poise, maybe it's like especially large windup, but especially high damage. You know, like a finishing move, right? Maybe it's a defensive move, whatever. But yeah, some sort of weapon art on each weapon would be really cool. And there could be like a variety of weapon arts for each weapon class. So when you pick up a weapon from something like Kotaroth, or you pick up a weapon from, I don't know, Safajiva, one of the differing factors between them isn't just that they deal different amounts of damage or different types of damage, but they each have a separate weapon art that means, okay, I prefer one over the other specifically because it has this extra move. And I like that particular move, right? And you guys heard me talk about 2 other factors as well. Attack speed. You could have varying attack speeds between weapon classes, so like a fast hammer and a slow hammer, but they deal different amounts of damage. And finally, range as well. They don't do anything with range in this game. So you could have like an insect glaive that has more reach than other insect glaives, and this would be one of the factors that goes into your decision to use that insect glaive. There's so much they don't do in this game. They don't have any of those things. All the weapons feel essentially the same. You just do a calculation to know which one does the most damage. And it is tricky to calculate for it, but you know, you have all these useful YouTubers who are helping with it and it can be figured out. It just takes a little bit of time. Takes a little bit of time, a little bit of calculation. The speedrunners usually figure it out pretty fast themselves. Let's get this. But it's a really unsatisfying way to make one weapon feel stronger than another's, to just be like, oh, this one deals 10 more damage. Ah, it still hit me. I'm sorry, I'm going to be playing really bad tonight, guys, because I can't see properly. It's a very dissatisfying way to have the weapons, and they've just never really fixed it. They added the Clutch Claw, which I think was terrible. Really terrible. The longer I play, the more I dislike it. I'm doing it right now, actually. You can see me using the Clutch Claw right now, and that's because nobody wants to use the Clutch Claw. People, they don't use it because they like it. They use it because they have to for damage, and that's it. They don't use it out of like, oh man, I love Clutch Claw. That does not happen. Will Namielle just stay here? Like on this one cliff since I'm mounted? Or will she fly to another cliff? Oh, it'll actually fly to another cliff. Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know that. I better start stabbing. Alright. Oh, did I? Oh, I didn't. I paralyzed him. I thought that I had done the thing. Weapon enchantments might be interesting. LMAO, Insect Glaive, Minecraft. You shoot a Sophagiva laser beam. Damn autocorrect. I want to have gunless counter with the worm stake. According to patch roadmap, weren't they supposed to add a new quest to farm high level decos? What is it that people hate about Clutch Claw? Everything. Clutch Claw sucks, dude. Doom says, I never Clutch Claw. I just can't convince myself to stop attacking. Mirio says, high level deco farm. Probably never. Tengu says, well, I like Clutch Claw, but why is it here? Yeah, Clutch Claw sucks. If Clutch Claw did as much damage as my regular combos, I would probably use Clutch Claw. But it doesn't. It does significantly less damage, in fact. Not only does it do significantly less damage, it's also a liability to use. So you try to use it on a monster, the monster then throws you off, and now you're landing on the floor with the chunk of health missing, and the monster's part still isn't softened. So you have to use all this time recovering, and you have to be careful not to get two-shot if the monster's actually kind of dangerous. You're wasting all this time just so you can have a debuff on the monster. One part of the monster, not even the whole monster, just one part. Yeah. Clutch Claw, the longer I use it, the more I hate it. The longer I use it, the more I hate it. I can't take it. I hate, like, for example, here's another thing. I'm using Insect Glaive, right? Why does my Insect Glaive have to require 2 hits rather than 1 like the Greatsword in order to soften? Did it really need that? Is the Greatsword too strong? I'm sorry, is the Insect Glaive too strong and it needs to soften in 2 moves in order to be balanced? It just makes no sense. And the funny part is the Greatsword actually ranks much higher in terms of speedrunner tier list. That's what I'm trying to say. It seems to rank higher, which is generally a sign that it's simply a more powerful weapon. I would bet that just the fact that it softens in 1 move rather than 2 is a part of why the speedruns end up being different. So why couldn't we just have that on the Insect Glaive? Nah, that's too powerful. I don't know. It's almost like they get this idea in their head. Okay, we're gonna make it different this way, but it's like it's a bad idea, and they just need to fix it at this point. They fixed it on the Sword and Shield, right? So they gave the buff to the Sword and Shield uppercut, right? And I suppose maybe that's because they felt like the Sword and Shield just didn't feel powerful enough. But there's the Lance. Still no love on the Lance. Still no love on the Lance. I don't understand. Yeah, I don't get it. By the way, a few streams ago, you mentioned the difficulty of heavy Bogan and Colt throughout the fight due to damage taken. Oh yeah, I thought that was great actually, because she was managing to one-shot with at least the beam was one-shotting, right? Was the beam one-shotting? And then it wasn't just that the beam was one-shotting, it's also the fact that many of her moves two-shot. And if she knocks you back, you know, if she knocks you back on your butt and you're ready, you're basically in one-shot range, is a big danger for the heavy bowgun because of your slow sheath time. Alright, she's coming down. So I think that's a good thing, but most monsters in Monster Hunter still do not have this problem. Like, for example, we fought Arch-Tempered Namielle, and the heavy bowgun sticky ammo was like the easiest build against her. Like, easily the easiest build. It was really clear that it was the easiest build. Grab onto her. I love this music. I don't know if you guys can hear or if it's too quiet. She gonna get all mad. What are you doing there, Arch-Tempered Namielle? I'm about to lose my blue sharpness. The only reason I use the clutch claw is to make it easier to get Shara tender plates. What? Oh my god, the moment we're done. Isn't she annoying? Oh right. White is the wings, right? Yeah, it is. Sweet. That's the third mount, by the way. I'm sure we contributed. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't do that in the event that I might accidentally paralyze her. Nah, we should work on it, because this will be the third paralysis. It probably will take a lot to get the third paralysis. No, come back! Alright, let's call our little Raider Rider. Good night, keep your eyes in good health. Thanks, Doom. Max says, Master Rank Cove, the best fight in the game. I'm using Fierce on Heavy Bowgun. I think he means Pierce. Barry says, light weapons need 2 CC for tenderizing, but can produce slinger ammo, and slinger during combos OP as hell, easy stagger KO. I actually disagree with that. I think that while the slinger pods are useful, you know what else generates slinger pods? Just dealing a lot of damage to the monster. And so if you deal a lot of damage to the monster, it'll drop pods anyways. And typically there's pods laying around as well. So you usually just need a pod to flinch shot or wall splat them, right? And you can find pods for this usually all over the map. So if you're talking about maybe using thorn pods or what else, scatter nuts maybe to try and cause a KO, I could totally get that, but it's not going to play like that big of a role compared to how important it is to tenderize quickly, because you want to tenderize quickly in order to get weakness exploit to work, and that's far more important than a potential KO caused by maybe a simple pod. You know what I mean? In other words, what I'm saying is, if I had to trade one over the other, I would take the ability to soften in one move over the ability to produce pods every day. Because it's so much more valuable. We grab the tail? How do we grab the tail? Nobody's softening. Everyone hates to soften. She's dead. Nice job, guys. Just tried charge... Oh, hold on. Just tried Charge Blade for the first time. Full on elemental crit build. Now I'm totally hooked. How about you? Yeah, I like the Charge Blade. It's been a lot of fun. I haven't played it in a little while. How do you play Insect Glaive? As a support doing Paralyzed Sleep or as a damage weapon? Well, you really should be playing as a damage weapon. I'm just kind of screwing around with this build. It's fun, and it's like a crowd control build. I'm thinking about adding the Impact Mantle to it and then latching onto the monster's head repeatedly. I've been thinking about that. How do you... Oh, I already read that one. Namio kept spamming Supernova for me, so Insect Glaive was useless. I love how people think GE hates the Lance. This dude is Lance main crying for Capcom to buff his weapon. People get so confused. Well, yeah, if they just buffed the Lance, I would show you guys lots of Lance gameplay because I'm experienced with the Lance. So it would actually be cool to kind of go in there and do, let's say, Greatsword or Heavy Bowgun levels of damage, which wouldn't be unfair. That would just be fair, wouldn't it? It would just be fair. The Greatsword has the ability to block and tackle, and the Heavy Bowgun has the ability to block, and it has a terrific long roll. So if the Lance, which has limited range and no tackle, it's got the counterattack. That's nice, I guess. But it has limited walking speed, it has slow sheath times. And it has a worse roll too. If the Lance could just do as much damage as the Greatsword and the Heavy Bowgun, you guys would see Lance come out all the time. I'd be using it every other fight probably. Just does no damage. So you give up all this other stuff just to do less. It's very silly. Very silly. The motivation... I didn't understand this because you guys probably don't know this. When I started the game, Lance was my main weapon. That was what I used. Which is part of the reason why my playtime on the Lance is so high. Because that was the only weapon I used. So I played Lance and then it moved to Heavy Bowgun because I realized Heavy Bowgun was similar to the Lance in the way that it had a shield. And, I was like, oh, I'll play defensive setup on the Heavy Bowgun. And then I discovered the Heavy Bowgun was very powerful with the cluster bombs. I was like, oh my god, this is a cakewalk now. And then after the Heavy Bowgun was discovered, I was like, I should get into more melee weapons, ones without shields. That's when I started playing the Hunting Horn. So my playthrough went Lance, Heavy Bowgun, Hunting Horn. And that's why when you look at my guild card, those are the weapons you see have a great deal of playtime. So we can go over here to the guild card. Oh, not wish list. Guild card. When we actually view the playtime with the Lance, you can see Heavy Bowgun is the most with 1800. And this shouldn't surprise you because of the sticky ammo builds. And in the base game, you had the cluster bomb builds. So I did a lot of my farming for my character back in base game. That's why I have so much, decorations and crap. And how did I do it? I just ran through it with cluster bombs. You do a full damage cluster bomb build and the fight's over in 2 minutes. So we did a ton of cluster damage builds, and then even in Iceborne, we used on moving a lot of sticky ammo builds. The light bowgun kind of followed that because the light bowgun, it turns out, is pretty good with elemental ammo versus Clove to Roth. And in the base game, we played Clove to Roth there's no coming home. There's no coming back. There's so many Clove fights that gave me that number on the light bowgun. So the Heavy Bowgun is high, the light bowgun is high. And then after that, the third most played weapon is actually the Hunting Horn. So you got Heavy Bowgun clusters, light bowgun, Clove, and then my most played melee weapon is actually the Hunting Horn. So a lot of people don't know that about... I think a lot of my viewers don't know that about me. My most played weapon is the Hunting Horn. And then because I'm such a big fan of the hammer... maybe in modern times, right now with the release of Iceborne and all that, I had become a fan of the hammer through exploration of the game, trying out all the weapons. Became a huge fan of the hammer. I love that it's very similar to the Hunting Horn in the way that it's a blunt weapon, but it can actually KO the monster multiple times. It can mount multiple times. It's got powerful ledge hopping. It's got powerful aerial moves. But also it just does really satisfying chunks of damage without you having to buff the team with Attack Up Extra Large to say, hey, I'm almost doing as much damage as you guys, right? The hammer doesn't have to do any of that. So what happened was I found out the Hunting Horn, which I had never played the hammer up to that point. The Hunting Horn was basically just a worse hammer in many ways. And once I'd played all the weapons, I realized that the Lance is just one of the most god-awful weapons in the game, but I happen to have a lot of playtime with it. It's not good at counterattacking. The longsword's good at counterattacking. Foresight slashed, EI Spirit slash. It's got a very fast sheath. It's got a roll. It's got an actual roll, right? And it does damage. Doing damage is a significant part of your defense in this game, because when you have an augmentation system that gives you health regen, if you can deal a lot of damage, that means you can take a lot of damage but heal it back up in the middle of your move. So with the Lance dealing maybe some of the worst damage in the game, not to mention also taking chip damage when you guard, its ability to health regen is so poor, but they just won't fix it. They won't buff it. All the weapons. Let's go down the list of changes. What did the Greatsword receive? I don't think the Greatsword received that many changes, did it? You can like Slinger Pod, but it really was already pretty powerful. I don't think anybody complained about the fact that the Greatsword didn't really have any changes. The Longsword received the EI Slash and EI Spear Slash, which is actually a big improvement to the Longsword. With the EI Slash, you're able to poise through attacks, and with the Spear Slash, you're able to iframe through attacks in a really powerful way. It does high damage, and typically it will give you like a knockdown or a flinch. The Sword and Shield, now it has the Uppercut and it has the Perfect Rush. Both of those are very powerful. Dual Blade, similar to the Greatsword, didn't really need that many changes. It's already pretty powerful. They didn't do much to it, but both Greatsword and Dual Blades actually kind of they land near the top of the speedrunner tier list. Like just beneath the bowguns and the bow, you got Greatsword and Dual Blades. So despite the fact that there weren't a lot of changes to the Dual Blades, they're still doing extremely well. So you don't really complain about the fact that mostly they just got like the evade shot, and evade shot's cool anyways. And the hammer, also not a great deal of changes. However, one big change you guys probably are very aware of at this point, it has on the Brutal Big Bang, you then can throw out the claw. Well, you can throw out the claw not just on the Brutal Big Bang, but on the, I can't remember, the uppercut, Brutal Uppercut. The Hunting Horn had a terrific change, actually. The Note 4 attack is so cool, where you set the horn down and spin it. That is awesome. Now if they will just get rid of the self-improvement buff, which was never necessary, no other weapon in the game has to like self-buff itself just to do normal damage. It's just a silly idea. It's as silly as drinking cool drink or hot drink. Like, why am I doing this extra step? Just let me play the game. So it's just like that. The self-improvement buff, totally irrelevant and unnecessary. They should just drop it and let the horn do its normal damage. And if they get rid of the attack up extra large buff, this will get rid of the fact that every hunting horn that you use, if you want to play well, if you want to play the way you're supposed to, you have to use one that has attack up extra large on it. Well, if they just get rid of that, let the hunting horn do more damage, drop the self-improvement buff, and people will now start choosing the hunting horn based on other buffs, buffs that are interesting. Attack of extra large is like using a demon powder. It's not interesting. It's one of the reasons why nobody uses the horn, by the way. And then the lance. I've already talked about the lance. I don't believe it's a defensive weapon at all. I've played all the weapons clearly based on this chart. I've played them all. I don't believe the lance is I think it's one of the worst defensive weapons in the game, ironically. You just have to play all the weapons to see it. Slow walking speed, poor health regen, teammates trigger your counterattack. You got the hops. Hops are terrible. Oh, right, you have to build guard up and guard. You have to build guard up and guard, which means you don't have room for other skills like Divine Blessing Secret. Maybe it's fire resistance you don't have room for. So many other, maybe a stun resist you don't have room for, whatever it is, but you don't have room for it because you built guard 5. And then Gun Lance is great, actually. It's very similar to the Lance in its visual appeal, but it's actually significantly mechanically different, with like the long shelling actually having, twice the range of the Lance? Isn't that funny? Like, the Lance is so good. Yeah, right. The Gun Lance has like twice the range on the long shelling. It's like twice the range, guys. And then the new effect for the Gun Lance with its, what do they call it? Wormstake Blast. Being able to put that into the monster's foot or something, it adds a level of complexity to the weapon that it didn't have before in the base game. That's terrific, because it puts a lot of pressure on this one thing you need to do early in the fight. And then for the rest of the fight, it's also about hitting the target. So in the past, you would just hit any part of the monster's body and call it a day, because you were dealing explosive damage, which, by the way, that's just another way that the Gun Lance has a huge advantage over the Lance. The Lance has to actually soften parts. Oh, I got Counter Claw, and I can soften parts. Gun Lance is like, bitch, I don't need to soften any parts. I do explosive damage, and I have double the range of you, right? So it's doing double the range, doesn't need to soften, but you do need to hit the right part on the monster because you're landing the Wormstake Blast. It's all very cool. Huge improvements for the Gun Lance. And what else is going well for the gun? Oh, right. The fact that you can just build for shelling on the Gun Lance means that you have all these leftover slots for building defense that the Lance can't do, because Lance has to build Crit Eye, Weakness Exploit, Crit Boost, Peak Performance, Agitator, Attack Boost, or whatever it is, Power Guard. I can't remember what it's called. The new guard move that, it's so good. No, it just tries to catch up with the other weapons. If the weapon's overall damage is not keeping up with the other weapons, offensive guard is not good, you know what I mean? In theory it's good, but in practice is still not doing the same damage as the other weapons. Switch axe, what were the changes on the switch axe? The ability to charge the axe and some changes to the zero sum mechanic. I like switch axe. I've been playing it more. I think it's actually quite pleasant. It feels good the more you learn it because as you get better at dodging and learning to time the hops and all that, actually probably the biggest change to improving your gameplay with the switch axe, I would say, is just learning how to use the morph to keep moving after a roll. The charge blade, I recently, I would say, got good with the charge blade. I reached a point where I felt effective with it, and the charge blade had some of the most complicated changes to it compared to the base game, because now you have to use the Savage Axe sometimes, most of the time, I guess. But yeah, it's a real complicated weapon, maybe the most complicated in the game. But that's a great thing, and the fact that now they're forcing you to use the whole moveset on the weapon, I think is fantastic. And they should have probably done this with all the weapons. But so Charge Blade gets to take, in my opinion, the spot as most complicated. Insect Glaive, I've been using that more lately. You've been seeing me using it just now. I really like that the Insect Glaive is able to force a mount whenever it wants, basically, very quickly. And I've never disliked the Insect Glaive. You can see that when you look at the usage on the Insect Glaive for me, it's nearly as much as the bow, is higher than just about every other weapon except for like my major weapons, right? So you can see my big weapons that I use a lot, and then you can see Insect Glaive just kind of sticks out a little bit. That's because I started playing with it and I thought it was actually quite fun. But I think in order to have fun with the Insect Glaive, you do have to jump in the air. A lot of people tell you to only play it on the ground for optimal damage, which they're right about that because your ground attacks do more damage, but you have more fun in the air. So if you're not using some aerial attacks or finding some fun use for the Insect Glaive, you'll just end up swapping back over to probably the Switch Axe or probably the Longsword. So what they could do for the Insect Glaive, they could increase the aerial damage, but the new move on the Insect Glaive, once again, is very satisfying, is that dive, right? The dive actually has a surprising amount of directional control when you're coming down, which, you know, I've really surprised by that, but also glad that they did it that way. So again, we're kind of comparing like these new Iceborne moves for all the weapons, and most of them are just better than the lance by far. I guess not the Insect Glaive, the light bowgun had like the evade reload. I guess I didn't actually like evade reload, despite that both the light bowgun and the heavy bowgun end up being like two of the most powerful weapons in the game. When we look at the speedrunner tier list, is what is it? Heavy bowgun, bow, light bowgun, right at the top. And that's because light bowgun's really powerful with elemental still, really powerful now that we have Sophagiva weapons. Heavy bowgun dominates just about every single speed run with this freaking ridiculous spread ammo. I don't know why they keep it in the game. And bow, same deal. It's just like the spread ammo on the heavy bowgun, except you have to evade through moves rather than just plug and chug with the heavy bow. You know what I mean? So it's basically spread shot for both heavy bowgun and bow, and that's why they dominate the top of the speedrunner tier list. But the heavy bowgun, you know, what were the changes for the heavy bowgun? Like more mods and actually, I don't really like the changes for the heavy bowgun either. Like similar to the light bowgun, the new mod. Well, the heavy bowgun now uses a scope. So I wasn't a big fan of that, and you know, I guess it doesn't matter once again. So maybe the problem is not all the changes on the weapons I agree with. So I didn't like the changes to the light bowgun and the heavy bowgun. They could have been better, basically. Not a fan of evade reloading, not a fan of the scope. But it didn't matter because these weapons are so powerful anyways, which tells me if they just took the lance and they gave the lance, like I've been saying, a damage buff, nobody will care if you have the counterclaw. Like, cool, you got the counterclaw, that's nice. But it's just the fact that the lance does not keep up with the other weapons in terms of damage while being less defensive than the other weapons. This is a really bad, you know, this is one of the things that's going to keep it near the bottom of the tier lists. And the bow's been great, and it's got the 1,000 Dragons now. 1,000 Dragons along with EI Spirit Slash, two of the coolest new moves in the game by far. Like, not even close. What would you rather have with the lance? 1,000 Dragons or counterclaw? I'd rather have 1,000 Dragons every single day, all day and all night. So, yeah, anyways, wow, I really went off there. Really got into that subject. Let's go ahead and talk to this lady. I didn't expect to talk about all that. Oh, he's already got people. How about this guy? We'll help you with the Fury Remains. Spread ammo is beyond insane. I didn't like Insect Glaive that much, but get rid buff and take to the skies with sleep and paralysis. Just got my spread jewel. Range is the best buff you could have in a game. Scope is the worst addition to the game ever. Yeah. Yeah, I realized, it wasn't that I liked all the Iceborne changes. Maybe it's the fact that the lance isn't doing enough damage that makes me feel like I'm more, I'm more frustrated by the fact that it's not doing a lot of damage, but also I don't like the change that they made to it for Iceborne, you know what I mean? To play spread scope, you gotta be good? Well, no, it's just the fact that you're staring through a freaking scope at like an inch away. It doesn't even make sense. Nobody would use a scope to shoot a shotgun on a monster from like a foot away. It just doesn't make any sense. All right, now let me look through this scope so I can shoot you right on the button. What? What? TGC is streaming at this hour? How's it going, man? I can't even read your name. It's because I got my one eye. Mirio says, when's the high-level deco quest coming? That's the real question. High-level deco myth? It's coming tomorrow. It's coming so hard. Woo. So, rant. We're talking about the game. I wonder what you guys like to talk about more. Do you guys like it better when I talk about the game, or do you guys like it when I talk about non-related game stuff? Sometimes I wonder if you guys prefer it when I talk about other stuff. Shotgun scope, LMAO. That's right, because you got to zoom in on this thing standing a foot away from you. John says, give Lance innate guard up and make you take less damage on counterclaw. Also buff the shield so you don't need as many guard points. Yeah, so I think a lot of problems with the lance could be fixed if they just gave it a bit of a damage buff, so that's doing as much as, at least the greatsword. Why can't it do as much as the greatsword? If I told you guys that the lance should do as much damage as the greatsword, do you automatically in your mind say, wait a second, I don't like that? And if you are saying that, why? Why are you saying that? Is the lance meant to do no damage? It's so silly. It's like, of course it should do as much damage. So it's one of those games, It's like people complaining. I don't know. Imagine complaining about not getting, or imagine complaining because somebody wants to buff a weapon. It's like the weapon should definitely be buff. The only possible good improvement for Switch Axe currently would be better mobility in the sword mode. Yeah, it's not bad. It really isn't. It takes more practice than some of the other weapons, in my opinion. It's not too bad. Robert says, I prefer your hot takes. Mr. Modern says, I like game topics. I think that we just like to hear you talk. Scope somehow increases your damage. Yeah, that was a big mistake, I think. The scope shouldn't have increased your damage. Edson says, hey, hi. How's it going, man? Horribad Gamer says, Hunting Horn had the best improvements out of all the weapons this expansion. Yeah, Hunting Horn and Gunlance saw some of the largest improvements, I would say. Hunting Horn and Gunlance together, I'd say they both did really good. The Wormstake Blast was a really significant change to the entire gameplay of the Gunlance. And in a good way, I like when you talk about it. I like what you talk about if we like when you talk about the game or other stuff. What? Should do more damage, but doing 500 more damage per poke would be worse than spread. Yeah, it doesn't have to do more damage than a spread or the greatsword, but it shouldn't do at least as much. You know what I mean? Shouldn't it do as much? Tell me why it shouldn't, Tell me why it shouldn't do as much. Is there any good reason? Alright, let me jump up here. What are your thoughts on Frostcraft Sword and Shield? It's good. I've recently started playing it like this, and I do have an easier time with certain monsters like Goldrathian. Sorry if I'm having trouble reading. I'm just using my one eye. The stamina cap up song makes Hunting Horn actually a good support weapon because now bow and dual blaze benefit from it massively. Now that's been around for a long time. I don't actually agree with that. The stamina cap up is always been decent, but it's not like game changing. It's not like, oh man, I gotta have this or this is gonna suck. Hold on, just softening him. I don't know what gives me what. So I just shot him in the booty and I got white. Okay, so the head is red. Doop. There's the wall splat. That's what this game is all about now. It's just about your wall splats. You know what I mean? Wall splat's too strong, man. He gotta jump back. Yeah, he did. Oh my god, I'm still attached to him. Oh. Oh, there he goes. He's paralyzed. What? He's getting right back up. Alright, nice. Let's go ahead and sharpen in the meantime. I was shit at the game, and then I picked up Dual Blades, says Terra Squad. Yeah, Dual Blades, I was playing them the other day, and they were feeling very good. They were feeling nice and powerful. God damn, I can't believe... Oh my god, we can't grab him because he's too small. There we go. What, did I get knocked back? Something knocked me back. Let's grab this slinger bomb. Is he gonna make it? Oh, I might have helped him there. I don't know if I saved him. There we go, we got red. He's mad. I like how it doesn't affect my bug. Where do we get orange from? Is it his forearms? Yeah, there we go. Ah. Ah, he moves too fast. Did he grab him? I'm backing up. Oh, did I just get hit by those? God, this guy's always a fun fight, isn't he? He's ready to be thrown into the wall again. Perfect. Let's go ahead and grab this. Let's see what you guys are saying. In my opinion, not being able to clutch claw Ray Jang's head is bad and should be removed. I mean, yeah, it's a weird thing, isn't it? It's just a mechanic specific to him. I'm not sure if I'd call it bad. It's definitely a weird feeling, isn't it? Oh, good. We're gonna paralyze him soon again. I love being able to just kind of jump away. Ah, I forgot about the stupid shockwave in the ice. Oh wow, he knocks you out of the air too. Crazy. Ouch. That hurts. Dude! No more shockwaves. It's illegal. PC Master Disgrace, is that what you said? Ah, we're deflecting off of the damn arms. Let's get away from that. Don't grab me, don't grab me, don't grab me. He grabbed me. Get him, boys! Oh no, this is the end for me. What are you guys doing? Oh my god. Oops. I like how I was the one who was grabbed and killed both of them. Oh, I thought maybe I was still attached. Well, that was going to be so cool. Oh, I can't believe he reached me. Hey TGC, what do you think about a bow slugger part breaker build? Worth it or not? A slugger build? Probably not. I feel like those kind of things were experimented with in the base game, and generally just KOing a monster is not enough, man. You actually have to deal damage to them, you know? Time for a serious question. Do you like cheese? I love cheese, actually. Cheese is just like everyone else who likes bacon and cheese and processed meat. And yeah, huge fan. When I was younger, one of the things my dad introduced us to was like having cheese and wine. And he loved to get really like exotic, stinky cheeses. So he would get like cheeses in, and this was back in the 90s when you couldn't go to your local store and get all the imported cheeses, because they do that now. That's what the grocery stores all do, that to try and compete with the fact that Walmart is so good at everything. So what they do is they offer you like more niche food. That's what the grocery chains do now, right? So anyways, oh nice, we just got him out. Anyways, he introduced us to like cheese and wine because he loved food. He was like a foodie, right? He was always trying to figure out something yummy to cook. And so when I was younger, we'd have brie cheese, of course, and brie cheese now is very common, but again, back then in the 90s, it wasn't common. You couldn't just go to the store and buy it. You had to find somebody who actually sold brie cheese. But he would get like these weird German cheeses and French cheeses, and they smell like dead animals. They were so bad smelling, but they tasted good. So it was a really fun experience. And you know, later on in life, I do a little research and learn about how all these cheeses are made with weird bacterias. and mold, and you have to store the cheese in some rare cave where only this particular mold grows. So cheese is a fascinating, you know, kind of like foodie subject, and yeah, I do enjoy cheese. You got to be careful not to eat too much of it. That's not good for you, sadly. Cheese is okay. Guess technically it's better than eating a Twinkie. Start stabbing him here. And he's ready. What? I thought he was in the mode where I could slash him. Oh, no. Oh, I thought he was in the mode where I could, like, slash him and end the fight. And the mount. I just couldn't see what was going on. I thought he was giving me the prompt. Oh, I would have held on and kept playing. Oh, now I'm sad. That's frustrating. Apparently the grandpa on my mom's side really liked German cheeses himself. He ate a lot of stinky cheese, she said. Deflecting off of him so bad. Wasn't sure if that was going to count as a hitbox on him or not. Woo! This fight's taking a while, man. Probably because I'm not doing any damage. Nick. Don't compare consoles to PC. Ray tracing is useless. Let's be honest, PC peeps. No one uses it in competitive unless you want less frames. What are you talking about? Ray tracing? Some PC term I don't know. The next gen may be around the corner, but as to if you will want it launch is kind of debatable. Quality is a concern. Yeah, usually when new consoles come out, that's usually when the bugs are discovered with the console, you know? And then the next round, they've got all the bugs fixed, right? Oh, I think he died while we were jumping back. Cool. Will I get both next-gen consoles? I probably won't get them both right away. I'll probably get the Xbox right away. Oh no, look at these guys. TGC should convert to PC. I purchased a gaming PC and it broke after 1 year of usage and it cost me $800. And I was really not impressed with any of that. And now I'm using my wife's gaming PC and my PC is still waiting to be fixed because I'm a big procrastinator. Yep, my wife had a gaming PC. She doesn't even get to use it. It's out here. It's mine now. Can't say that I was especially pleased. Do you think Impact Echo Wave on the Hunting Horn should crit? Yes. King Cobra says, perfect aim has ruined any semblance of balance that games had on PC. Mr. McAsshat says, cracked me up. The comment section was arguing about PC versus console gaming while you were talking about cheese. JV says, PlayStation 5 day one, Xbox when I can afford it. Alex says, I'm more excited about PlayStation 5. Those controllers are dope AF. I've actually always been more of a fan of the Xbox controller. Fan says, who even cares about the platform? Just play the game well. What are you, a 5-year-old? Judas says yes. Hey, mister, you better buy the console I'm playing on. Raya, I can't read anything right now. Rayarick says, well, PC is my partner for entertainment and jobs, but I'm good with console. Silent Wolfie says, I always wonder why console players gotta pay 2 times to play multiplayer when PC just needs to pay internet. Right, but then also you pay significantly less for the console. Well, that's how it's been up to this point. We don't know how expensive the new ones will be. You could also argue that the connection seems to be higher quality on the consoles. So I've played Monster Hunter on all 3. I will say that the load times are faster on the PC, but you have disconnects every single session. Like, you just constantly have disconnects. When you play on Xbox or PlayStation, you have almost no disconnects. It's completely different. What does the Gameconomist mean? The game economy refers to our infinite desires trying to be satisfied by limited resources. There you go. Our infinite desires in a video game trying to be satisfied by infinite resources in a video game. All I did was take the definition of economics and apply it to video games. Let's go ahead and fertilize with soft soil. Fertilize a few other things if you know what I mean. Biochicken. Well, I am what? King Cobra says, perfect aim is a cheat client, by the way. Marcus Dickinson says, I started on Xbox and switched over to PC when it released. What? We'll join this. PC players can mod and stuff, so yeah, we should keep them apart. I think Street Fighter V is Capcom's only cross-platform game. Sadder Casual says, I don't get disconnects on PC. I get them all day. So we'll host a stream, and it will constantly be somebody drops out just all the time. Yeah, so I don't know what you're talking about. I think they've even talked about it before, trying to improve the quality of the multiplayer experience. Alex says, yeah, I don't get that many disconnects either unless Steam is updating or doing maintenance. I often wonder, actually, if maybe the disconnects are caused by people who are trying to join the stream while we're live. Maybe somebody who just sits there repeatedly hitting the join button or something like that. I often wonder if that causes it to crash more, but I don't actually know. All I know is that we do have a lot of disconnects on PC. I'm around 240 hours PlayStation 4 Monster Hunter World. I believe at least 10 hours for loading screens alone. Yeah, the loading screens are definitely an inconvenience. They're annoying. Can you show your build, please? That is a possibility. No, we still get a lot of disconnects. Sadder Casual. I host PC all the time for a full party. So whenever, I don't know, you're probably playing with like some friends or maybe some randoms online. I'm playing with a full group in a session, right? 16 people. And people drop out, and not on purpose. They drop out. It's very common. True Sighted says, will depend on your latency, on your connection. King Cobra says, not about to throw my hour save file away on consoles. Mods seem fun, so maybe pick it up when it's on sale. What? How's it going, Raging Bat? He says, how late am I? There's exactly 2 minutes left to the fight. Just 2. 2 minutes left to the live stream, I mean. Wow, this is a chat live stream. We got to have some fun conversations. What would you guys like to talk about? Let's run up this way. Is this a Kinsect build? It is Joe Mama. Flood of Sin Network packets caused by people spamming join would be a valid explanation for disconnects. Yeah, it's something I've considered, but I have no way to actually test for it. Does anyone know when Safi's coming again? Hey, mister! What's the new meta, mister? Hey, mister! What console are you playing on? Hey, mister! When's Safichiva coming back? It's like top 10 most common questions. Ooh, he's an angry boy. Oh, you're talking about the giant wasp from Japan? You know what? Maybe I'm not that worried about it because I don't actually go outside that much. Yeah, it's a good question, man. The man killing wasp, huh? Guess you can expect some people to die. Favorite monsters? This one, Silver Rathalos. A couple of streams ago, you talked about watching a lot of financial videos. Have you ever seen the ones extra credits did on markets in MMO or GPG, and how would you... I'm sorry, I'm having trouble reading your stuff. I'm having a lot of trouble reading anything tonight. Not sure if I understood your question. Still running Paralysis Kinsect? How's it feeling? Terrible. I'm just running it anyways, though. Give me a spin. I think he's ready to be mounted. What do you guys think? I think he's ready to be mounted. What do you guys think? I don't stream and get disconnects all the time while fighting cold. That's so annoying. What? Oh, you're saying that you don't stream and you still get disconnects, and you're expecting not to. I see what you're saying. Here we go. So Slash Fury. Let's do it. What's your least favorite monster? This one? Silver Rathalos. Definitely. I'm gonna play Blue Protocol. Oops. How fast can this guy be mounted again? It's fun to kind of jump over him, you know what I mean? What the hell? Put on the Temporal Mantle next, probably. Come on. There we go. Does anyone ever actually use the green buff? The heal buff? I don't think anyone ever does that on purpose, right? There's almost no reason to. God, why does he move away every time I'm trying to use that move? Alright, he's dead. Nice job, guys. PC runs crazy nice for me too. Don't let your teammates die. For some people it does, other it doesn't. Love your build videos. They have taught me a lot. Thanks, man. I'm playing right now 90, 100 FPS. What are you talking about? It runs flawlessly on PC. We got another month free trial living in April. What? I main different sword and shield builds. Finally got attack 4 jewel. If I can run Battlefield 5 on Ultra, I feel like I should be able to get more than 60 FPS. Metal Rasp would be far more fun if you could fight them somewhere. Oh, right. Yeah, it's strange. They only let you fight them in this room. It really is kind of like an arena-style battle. Raging Bat says, there's a likely chance again that I'll have a job soon, but I gotta go there myself apply. Thankfully, it's not an online application-only place. Oh, good luck, Raging Bat. Yeah, go get that money, and then you can get all the bitches and hoes. Zymemeru says, dude, you need to stack up on wetfish fins. It's painful watching those 4 grinds. I hate fishing. I hate grinding. I really do. Abdul says green buff is a bit hard to get since it's usually at the tip of the tail. That's true. That's a good point. Maybe that's part of it. But I never bother like spending time on it, you know, because the heal is so insignificant. Blast Jewel, Grinder Expert, Jumping Release. All right, so bunch of hooey. How many Raytheon and Rathalos variants are there? I mean, I've seen normal pink and azure, now silver. Any difference? Hunting Horn users in general, don't let teammates die. What's the easiest way to get more monster mantles? The easiest way to get monster mantles is to go kill them. Go kill the monsters that you want the mantles from. Elder Melder. That's right. Once a week you can do the Steamworks to get your, whatever they call it, Celestial Wyverian print, and then you'll be able to go craft the mantle. But usually the mantles people have trouble obtaining are the ones that aren't craftable. So in that case, you're just going to have to go kill the monster and try to break all their parts. Capturing them can usually make the runs faster. I think you got to break the back and slay them. Really glad the Metal Wraths won't be in the next gen game until Master Rank again. Excuse me, I think that Silver Rathalos and Gold Rathalos are kind of fun. I don't really mind them at all. Do you really need to fight this guy? Huh, maybe he needs help with this fight. Interesting. Well, not help in that sense, but like, maybe he just doesn't have this fight done. Say my name. Your name is Dicky. Lil Thick Nick says, heyo, how it do be? I've just recently got back into Monster Hunter World since launch, and your videos have helped a ton, especially with the grinding lands. Nice, man. I'm glad to hear that. If the Hunting Horn user's teammate dies, the teammate must have been suicidal. That's the only explanation. What? Hey, mister, where are them Pokemon codes at? Hey, mister, you got any of them codes? Come on, mister. The Hey Mister voice, that was made up on my other channel, the Pokemon card channel. We made it up because one of the really annoying things that happens is a bunch of little kids join the stream and they want you to hand out this code that comes in the booster pack, and they can't go on eBay and buy like a bazillion codes for $5 because that's all they cost. They're not expensive, but they don't have any money, so they come into the live stream and they e-beg. They e-beg for codes. They're ready to be a streamer, basically. Come on, guys, just one donation. But no, we started making fun of them for it. Because I think one guy actually came in a long time ago, and he said, hey, mister. He actually said that. He said, hey, mister, you got any codes? And I was like, oh, no. He goes, hey, mister, do you like Charizard? And then he's like, hey, mister, do you got any codes for me? And it's like, what? Who says that? Hey, mister. So I gave him the Mickey Mouse voice treatment. You don't need to fish for wetfish fins. You can catch them with the net, 40 seconds per run. The best way to get the mantles is to farm for investigations with many gold box rewards. Supernova says, hey, mister, where them Pokemon codes at? 17% drop rate. Super Gurk says, how do you get celestial prints from the Steamworks? I don't get them from the overdrive bonus. You have a very low chance to get them just any time during the week, but at the beginning of a fresh week, you will get one on your first Steamworks try. Okay, so it's guaranteed at the beginning of the first week. So every week comes around, all the event quests update, and then you can go do your Steamworks. Like I could go do it right now. And then after that, if you keep trying for it, it has a very, very rare drop rate. Okay. Wallace says, people still play Monster Hunter? I know, dude. What the hell? Holy molies. Sleep until Elytron, which probably isn't going to be this month. But do you like Charizard? Hey, mister, do you like Charizard? I'm not an e-beggar, but a free code is a free code, says Cookie Cutter. True Sighted says, why do so many people say that you shouldn't reference and use Nergigante's name out loud in chat? What? Hunting Horn be singing and dancing the whole time and then talk like they did longsword damage? What? People don't play Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World uses people to play it. What? What are you talking about? You guys are being crazy. We need some fun topics to talk about, guys. Give me some fun topics. So somebody mentioned that there's the killer hornets from the east are here, and that's worrying. But other than that, see, I don't really know what else to say other than darn, that sucks. Same with coronavirus, actually. Are you guys tired of corona yet? Damn, I'm tired of coronavirus. Coronavirus this, coronavirus that, blah blah blah. CBS is always like, it's the end of the world. Coronavirus mutates to the more deadly dominant. You know what I mean? Like, they're using all the crazy language. Man, I'm actually getting tired of coronavirus. Like, it's not in the I'm super scared way, but more like the, oh my god, can there be any other news for once? It's one news all the time. Imagine coronavirus just being annoying and not at all interesting anymore. Let's grab onto this guy's booty. He got paralyzed right away. There it is. Boop. You don't owe me. You can't tell me that. Alright, there goes the tail. Hunting horn users are elites, and that is why we are rare. Well, hunting horn users are rare because hunting horn doesn't do any damage. That's the actual reason. We are the elites. Aww. I'm sorry, that's my fault. Alright, he's off to the next stage. Clapping some behemoth cheeks? Yep, that's right. Let's talk about the new virus, Monster Hunter World virus. Some symptoms include loss of friends. Some symptoms include becoming a hikikomori. Man, what about hikikomoris? How does that happen? Do we have any Japanese viewers? Anybody in the audience who knows a hikikomori? How does that happen? I'm not trying to judge, I'm just trying to understand better. Oh my gosh. Is it just because technology makes it too easy to be introverted? So you never have an opportunity to, like maybe in the past you just had more opportunities to go out. And now that everything can be done online, you can effectively become a hermit, you know what I mean? Like maybe it's easier to be a hermit in 2020, and that's a technological side of the issue. I don't think it's close though. His insect glaive 10-5 range, 10-50 range aerial damage. Yo, what about them UFOs? It's UFOs, man. Doomer Pill of Japan. Yeah, that's it's really too bad, you only get to live once, obviously. And maybe to understand it, I feel like there must be something about staying in your bedroom that's much better than going out. And then other people will be like, what are you talking about? It's way better to go out and to... but I really do believe that you can't get the level of meaningfulness out of having only objects in your life that you can get from having meaningful relationships. Especially a family and your own, your own wife, your own girlfriend. Both of those things I think are super important to life. Because there's not much else to do in life, right? Like if you really think about it. You can work really hard to get a bunch of money, and then you can use your money to buy more objects, but it's like your objects don't love you back. They're just toys. They're your toys, right? And I love toys. You can tell I'm the kind of person who loves toys. I really do. So I appreciate toys, but they take second fiddle to having a girlfriend, having a wife. Like if I was missing a wife, I would put all my toys away so that I can go get a wife or a girlfriend. Like if something were to happen, that would be top priority. And I often wonder, like, I feel like there's probably this thing that happens where you actually become used to being single. It's almost like, I imagine what it would be like is if you got used to being depressed. Like every day you're just depressed, and that's just like a way of life for you now. And because you're so used to it, you don't realize how painful it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely not healthy. It doesn't feel good. So that's how I try to imagine it. But yeah, you know, you only have one life, and you wouldn't want to waste it on toys. The trick is to find somebody who enjoys, you know, having things with you, right? And to be able to have like children who you can give your toys to when you get old, because you're gonna get old. That's one of the things that's really surprised me about life. So I'm 31 now, and it really did not take that long for me to turn 31. It's like in the blink of an eye. Turning 31, you look different at 31. Man, your visual appearance changes significantly. You get older, your face changes, everything changes. You get old so fast, so you don't have a lot of time to figure it out. You gotta get out there and take some risks. Oh snap! I keep reading online that people are really getting into bread baking now during quarantine as a substitute for a social hobby. Do you have any hobbies now during quarantine? Everything for me stayed exactly the same. Before the quarantine or whatever, my usual day was my wife works from home 2 days a week, and then she would go to her office. No, she works from home 3 days a week, and then she goes to her office 2 days a week. So we already spent most of the time at home together working. She goes into one room to work, and I stay in another room and work, so that we're not like talking over each other. She'll have like meetings, I'll have live streams, and so we're just in this tiny condo. We have a tiny condo in America, and we're both working, and I'm streaming or editing, and she's having her meetings and programming because she's a software engineer, and we sit on our computers, and we do that all day. She gets off work, and then we have dinner, and then she goes to sleep for the next day, and I keep working. And that's our whole day. That is what our whole day is like. And now with my second YouTube channel, there's like an infinite amount of content I can work on. In fact, I used to actually get more videos out on this channel, but I've been replacing that with hosting live streams on the other channel, because the other channel's been such a large success. So I used to do live stream video on this channel, and now I do live stream. That's actually how my days go, and nothing's changed at all. When we went out, it's weird. You know, I do actually have some friends I really like. One of my favorite friends actually moved to South Carolina. He moved far away, so I just can't hang out with them anymore. And I don't have a lot of other friends. When I was younger, I had homeschooling friends, but none of them really knew about all the child abuse that was in my family. And so when I ran away from home when I was like 17 years old, I never really saw them again, and we just really never reconnected after that. So I lost all my old homeschool friends, and the friends I did make, I met them at work when I had these labor jobs. But you know, the last labor job I had before I went off to school was actually Coca-Cola, and the Coca-Cola job was a super isolated job. So you really didn't talk to anyone else unless it was like the Pepsi vendor or the Dr. Pepper vendor, which were like your competitors, which is really ironic. But you would become friends with Dr. Pepper and Pepsi because you didn't become friends with other Coke guys because you never worked with them. It was an isolated job. Anyways, yeah, so a lot of the friends I made in the previous labor jobs, we didn't really stay too close or anything. We didn't like keep in touch since we weren't working together anymore. There was no reason to either. Now, I make it off to college, and the thing is, computer sciencey types, dude, they're so like, they don't want to talk, they don't want to be friends with anyone. And so I met all these computer science people, and we were, you know, like friendly. We hung out, we talked, we had parties, we were in a club together. Many of them moved off to other states, many of them. And we were not even a large group either. There weren't a lot of computer science students that made it all the way to the end. Basically, by the time you're in your senior year, most people quit out of the computer science curriculum to go do something easier like business. And so there's just like a small group of us left. And the vast majority of them moved. Either we weren't that good of friends and we were mostly just there because of school and because of, this whole club, or they moved to like an entirely different state. Because it turns out there's a lot of opportunities everywhere as a computer scientist and or a software engineer, and you can just move wherever you want. So a lot of them actually moved, and we didn't really keep in touch with too many of them. Once again, we didn't really keep in touch with them other than running into them on coincidence, which does happen. Blow this up. So yeah, I find myself with a lot of not a lot of people to hang out with. Some of it is because of my childhood. Some of it is because I'm also a computer sciencey type of person. I don't really go out of my way to hang out with people or find new friends. And so my day-to-day experience during the quarantine, funny enough, is exactly what it already was. I don't hang out with anyone, play video games, and hang out with my wife all day. All day, just me and her. Very private. Extremely private. If I couldn't do this by myself, I would have to have a girlfriend. There's no way. I don't understand people who do it. They're like go through life with no girlfriend, no wife. That would be really difficult for me. Damn, I want a girlfriend so we could be depressed together, right? I actually know somebody who, he's a younger male and he has been going through life with no girlfriend, no wife, and he just does not seem that happy. He seems so disconnected. You know what I mean? And it's because what I realized is because he's not getting any experience. So this is this really important thing that happens when you start dating and you get into a relationship where you're supposed to be saying, things like I love you and stuff like that, right? When you get into one of those, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about yourself, and you learn about how you're supposed to treat others, and you make a lot of mistakes, but also you learn how to do better next time if you're smart. And you learn what your shortcomings are, what you're bad at doing. You're a bad listener. Oh, you're argumentative, whatever. Right? Everyone's argumentative, in my opinion, to some degree or another. But so you find out what you suck at real fast when you're in a relationship, and when you're not in a relationship, you really don't. And so it just seems like it's not just about having all the comforts of being in a relationship. Having somebody tell you like, "Oh, I love you," that's therapeutic, man. And it's not when your parents say something like that. They're supposed to say that, right? They're supposed to say that, and it's not the same kind of love, obviously. It's not like they want you. It's just that you're their kid. You almost like belong to them, right? Like you're their kid. But that's very different from having somebody who's like your peer tell you, yeah, I love you. And I imagine people who maybe are living in Japan and not having any of these relationships of this sort, and they're just getting older and older and older. And the thing about getting older, I actually mentioned this earlier. When you get older, you look different. You don't look as attractive when you're older as you do when you're young. When you're young, you look much more attractive. So the older you get, the more attraction you kind of lose. And lucky for guys, it's not so bad, but for girls, it's really bad. So if there's a Kikimori girl, she's in real trouble. She's wasting her most important years. But guys, sometimes guys can compensate for not looking so good by having a great humorous attitude and having a lot of maybe like income or something like that, which is always impressive to a girl. Did we get them? Oh, we did. Well, anyways, so they're taking these critical. Usually, I'm thinking they're of the years between 18 and 30, and you guys are missing out on a really important time in life when you're supposed to be going out and learning how to be effective in a relationship. You're missing out on that, and the longer you take not getting into a relationship, really the more damage you're doing, because you're making it, as you get older, you're going to find that the pool of very dateable women is drying up really fast, okay? So the longer you wait, let's say you're turning like 28 years old or something like that, you're going to find that all the women that are available for you to date, they've already had boyfriends, they've already got kids, like they're from shitty relationships, which I'm not saying you can't have a good relationship with somebody who's from a bad relationship and already has a kid. It's just that, many guys don't want that. That's just the truth. That's why there's all the single moms. So if you don't want to be a guy raising another guy's kids, which again, if you're okay with that, then that's what it's all about sometimes. It's just finding a situation that works for you. But if you want to have a girl who maybe you're one of her earliest boyfriends and she doesn't already have children and all that stuff, you got to act now. You got to act when you're young. So that's what I find really tragic about people, because I don't know if we have a term like that in the United States, hakikimori, but I think it happens a lot here too. You get these young guys who play, and maybe this is a great audience for me to be talking to, because you guys probably play a lot of games like I do. But maybe you're in your room right now and you're getting older and you've got no girlfriend, and you're, I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe you're hooked on games, maybe you dropped out of high school and you're not doing so well, maybe you're not working a very impressive job. Let me tell you, if you don't make a move, you will get old and ugly fast. You don't want to get old and ugly with no dating experience, because then you're really undateable. Okay, so if you're old and ugly but you have a lot of dating experience, at least you have a lot of experience, and hopefully you can also get a nice career, and so you're well adjusted and you have a career, and this often is very attractive in its own way. But if you don't have the well adjustment, if you don't have the relationship, and you don't have a decent job, and you're getting older, you're gonna be like the 40-year-old virgin. You know what I mean? You're gonna be the 40-year-old virgin, and you're missing out on one of the most essential things in life, in my opinion. Girls aren't funny. You heard it here, folks, says Sad or Casual. Actually, the funny is an interesting topic, because I think it was like an evolutionary biologist. There was some kind of, I can't remember. There was somebody important, somebody prominent in the science community was talking about how girls don't have to be funny. So guys have to be funny to attract girls, but girls don't have to attract guys. See what I'm saying? The guys will actually go after the girls. So men developed humor as one of the skills that you need in order to get a girlfriend. So this is why he believes that girls aren't funny. It's not because of, it's just what happened, like evolutionarily. It just happened because there was no need for girls to be funny, but guys needed to be funny to compete with other guys for the girls. So what do we have here? Today's special. Let's join them. Oh, it's almost over, I see. Let's not join them. Soleil Lunastra. All right. I'm in the living room right now watching you drinking coffee. The girlfriend is playing Apex. Nice. Patrick says, I'm 35 and don't look that much different from when I was 25. And that's a really lucky thing, Patrick. Yeah, that's great. I don't think that's true for everyone. Cookie Cutter says, I may be a Hikikimori, but when I mention I'm silver 4 in League, all the girls drop their panties. Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with loving video games either, by the way. Obviously, I'm somebody who plays a lot of games. I always have. I love video games. But, if I was single, the first thing I would do is put my games away, get a girlfriend, and then crack the games back out. See, so there's an order to it. Horrorbad says, I'm 36 and still look the same. Kara says, I'm not Hakikimori, but jobless. Thanks for the clip. Don't you become a wizard when you're 32 years old and virgin or something? No, but it's tough, though, I think. My girlfriend is real funny, kept joking about leaving me. So let me say, for two guys mentioned that they're like in they're 35, 36, and they look about the same. But the thing is, your age kind of... they say age is just a number when it comes to dating, but I honestly do think the older you get, the harder it is to date a girl who, and again, I think most guys would like a girl who maybe has never been married, maybe has never had children. Girls want that from guys, I think, often as well. I think that's just a normal thing, right? Because the reason for this is very simple. You want a lot of these experiences to be first-time experiences for your partner. So you want to have your first kiss together, right? That sort of stupid sentimental crap. But it's true, you do. You have first kiss with the wife, first anything with the wife, including especially getting married and having kids. So if you want to have that with the woman, you have to act as early as possible and get dating experience. So important, I would say. Relationship experience. Kyra says, F Corona, all lose jobs. Yeah, well, and now's a tough time for a lot of businesses too, but the businesses will start adapting and people will start buying stuff again, in my opinion. So it's a temporary thing. Koi says, when Gameconomist was talking about 28 without a girlfriend, it really hits home. I'm getting close to that. Every word he says stabbed right through my heart. Yeah. What I would say is I turned 31 much faster than I realized. It's like, wow, I'm 31. But you know what? I was already dating when I was 18. I was I was already out there getting experience. And when I look back on the dating experience I got when I was 18, it was really fundamental for when I made a move to go out on a date with my wife now. So I came into that relationship with a lot of experience on, you know, how women want to be treated. Women want to feel like they're special, and but also kind of like it's understanding like how can I be giving in the relationship so that her needs are met, basically, which is what a lot of relationship is just about that. Can you meet her needs? Can she meet your needs? Right? That's most of what relationships are. And you keep each other happy, and you happen to have personalities that can stand each other. Because a lot of people, especially depending on what kind of personality you have, you get bored or annoyed real fast. So you got to find somebody with a compatible personality. But first, I feel like you actually have to be out there spending time with somebody who maybe is not somebody you like, so that you get a concept of, here's what I don't like. You know what I mean? These are the things that don't fit well with me. And so, yeah, the experience is, it's just like anything else in life, right? Work experience, buying your first house, buying your first car. If you think about it, one of the most important things in life, the things that will have the most dramatic and lasting repercussions on your life, is definitely your relationship, right? It decides everything. It decides like what your children look like. How smart are your children? That's a big thing, by the way. You want to have smart children, you got to go get a smart wife, right? So that was really important for me. So you want to have smart children, you better go start dating smart women. Because guess what? When it comes to intelligence and beauty, it all gets passed down. So you have to have you would prefer, anyways, to have a beautiful girlfriend who's hopefully as smart as you or maybe smarter. So those are really important ideas. And if you're not practicing working on those concepts, what's going to happen is you're going to get old and you're going to find out you're no good at dating. You're no good at, giving women what it is they're after, or being a good and a partner who's smart enough to meet the needs of your counterpart. And then you're just going to be stuck there getting older and older. And again, what I was saying earlier, they always say there's lots of fish in the sea or whatever. That's sort of true. I don't think it's as true as I don't think we're telling the whole truth on it. So it's like, oh, there's plenty of fish in the sea. So yes, roughly there's the same number of men and women. However, when you start breaking it down a little bit, well, there's only a certain number of people who live within your area. Okay, so right off the bat, that lowers the number. Then there's only a certain number of people who are like perhaps within 10 years of your age group. Most people kind of date within their age group. Well, maybe not Donald Trump, right? But especially when it comes to women, you're looking for a woman who, she's roughly your age group, maybe a little bit younger. You don't, unless you're probably some sort of CEO businessman type, you usually don't go like more than 10 years under, right? So that number of women is actually much smaller than you realize. That number of women is much smaller. And then let's say you want women who have never had children. The number gets smaller. Let's say you want women who have never been divorced. That number gets way smaller. Let's say you want women who haven't been in more than, 3 relationships. The number gets even smaller. Let's say you want a woman who's never been married, never had children, never had more than 3 relationships. She lives in your area. She's roughly 10 years your age in that window, right? And usually men prefer younger, right? And then finally, she shares your religious and political values. Wow, the pool actually gets really small at that point. And then finally, on top of that, you throw, also, she needs to be attractive. And then all of a sudden, you realize your group, the fish in the sea, is quite small. It's quite small. There's not actually that many women. Because what happens is, if you're somebody who's been chilling on the sidelines, not playing the game, if you're not out there learning how to be a good partner, learning how to be a good boyfriend, a good husband, if you've been playing your games and you've not been playing the relationship game, what happens in the meantime is all the guys who are more aware of the importance of dating and relationship, they are out there and they go and what do? They go after the best partners first. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do anyways. If you have enough self-esteem, you're supposed to go after the partners that are the most sane and attractive and educated and all the nice things, right? And so the pool of people who you're going to date and have as a good option as a partner dries up real fast. And this is why, again, so getting back on that topic of like the hikikomori, it's really not a good idea to be spending your time with just your objects, because you're getting older And the older you get, the weirder it gets to try and get a girlfriend. Hey, let's say for example you're 35 and you've never dated anyone. Let's say you've never dated anyone and you're 35 and now you're looking for a girl that meets some of the criteria I mentioned. But a lot of those women are going to be like 25 years or younger. And so when she's like 21 years old and you say, yeah, I'm 35, that's going to start to get awkward real fast. The generational gap starts to affect, the generational gap between you and her starts to change how her parents see you. Like, wow, are you grooming our daughter? You know what I mean? Are you grooming our daughter? Are you taking our daughter from us? Parents, by the way, when it comes, for me, parents have played a much more prominent role than I expected, because I've always been extremely independent. You know what I mean? I left home when I was 17, so my parents never had a say in anything for me. But whenever I went dating, it turned out her parents had, they were the ones who were really deciding how they feel about you and whether they like you, and that's a very big part of the success of a relationship. So if you're like 18 years older than her, you know what I mean? If you're 14 years older than her, her parents are probably going to start looking at you a little like, oh, okay, what's this all about? You know what I mean? And maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's just prejudice from the parents, and maybe you can convince them otherwise. But it's just, again, in my opinion, life is very short. It's never really going to be different from that, and you're missing out on key years to get relationship experience if you're locked in your bedroom between the ages of 18 and 30. It's a real dangerous thing to do. Would being a good person equal being a good boyfriend? Mostly, yeah, but it's a little more complicated than that, because it depends on what your definition of a good person is. You ever hear guys say, I'm a nice guy, girls never go for nice guys? Usually they're not nice guys at all. Usually they're just as big of assholes as other guys are. You want sex, and the problem is, because you have so little to offer to her in terms of handsome looks, good income, maybe wit, maybe charm, maybe humor, because you have so little to offer her, you resort to being nice. That actually what ends up happening. You're like, my best strategy for getting a partner is I'm basically going to be this subordinate follower, this subordinate sort of, I'll do anything you say, I'll give you anything you want, and that makes me a nice guy. But really, just like the Chad or whatever they say, just like the Chad, you're really just after her sexually, you're after her as a partner. And you're mad that she won't be your partner just because you're offering her niceness. And often women are looking for other traits, like, will they be good dads? Will they be good providers? Do they look attractive enough? And guys do this to girls all the time. So if you're annoyed that a girl might judge you on attractive qualities, I mean, what do you think you do with girls every time you look at them? That's all guys do with girls. We're even worse than girls are. Girls will give you a pass if you have a good job. We do not give girls a good pass if they have a good job. If she's real but she's got a nice paying job, you still won't hit it. Some guys will. Some guys will hit anything. But a lot of guys won't marry a girl who's ugly even if she has a good job. Most women will marry a guy who's kind of ugly, but he has a very good job. They'll be like, all right, well, he has a good job and he's interesting. You know what I mean? So women, it's even tougher on them when it comes to appearance than it is for guys. It's one of those things guys have an advantage in. But yeah, you hear the guys complain about being nice. Hey, I'm a nice guy, girls only go for the assholes. That's not actually accurate. Girls don't necessarily want assholes. It's more like the perspective of the guys who are nice guys. That sucks. The guys who call themselves nice guys aren't actually nice. That's my point. They want sex. They're trying to use niceness as a tool for sex. We all want sex. We all want a relationship. But you're trying to use niceness as your strategy, and it's a losing strategy because everyone should be nice by default. We all know that. But being handsome, being competitive, being successful in life are the other measurements, and girls pay attention to that a lot. All you got to do is apply it backwards. Like, so imagine a girl, and she is very out of shape, and she has, let's say, very unattractive facial features. And let's say she has no good of a job. She's got no job. Let's say she already has another guy's kids, and she wants to get with you, and she's really nice. She's like, I'm so nice, but the guys will never go for me. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter if you're nice. All these other traits are holding you back. All these other traits are holding you back. If she doesn't watch anime, then she doesn't exist, says Horribad. Women does the choosing, and that's facts. No, Ted, both men and women do the choosing, both men and women. If you feel like only women do the choosing, what might be going on is you have never been in a position where you're successful enough to do the choosing amongst women. So it's all about partner mating value. If the guy has a very high mate value, he can go around and say, I don't like you, I don't like you, I don't like you, I like you. Right? And if the girl has a very high mate value, she can go around saying, I like you, I don't like you, I like you, I don't like you. Right? So it's more about mate value. For just it only takes like 2 seconds to figure this out. Imagine who's an attractive actor. George Clooney. George Clooney. He can choose any girl he wants right now. So it's more about attractiveness and mate value than it is about, oh, girls hold the kingdom to sex and all that other goofy stuff you've been told or you've maybe read on the internet. So if you want to be able to have more power in the relationship and you want to be able to choose your girlfriend more successfully, the best thing you can do is work on yourself. Try to get in a better career. Have something about you that's actually interesting. You know what I mean? Have a hobby. Try to stay in shape. If you're not in shape, at least don't expect your girlfriend to have to be in shape, I would say. So if you're not in shape, lower your expectations on how good she should have to look. I think that's only fair. Some states, if you date a woman with kids, you become 100% responsible for them, and if you break up, you have to pay her child support. Oh, God. Jesus Christ, dude. It's absolutely unacceptable, that kind of stuff. I find that stuff super unacceptable. It's another guy's kid. He got to have all the good sex, right? So he had all the fun of having sex, and now the child's his. So he has all the fun of having sex. Biologically, he's passed his genes on, and now he wants society to raise the kid. Everyone should be angered by this. Everyone. And if the child suffers because you didn't whip your cash out, you didn't take care of the kid, you don't blame yourself, you blame the father. But we're in a society that is run basically by I don't know, like weird beta men and angry feminist women, and they beat you up for not taking care of another man's kid. It just makes no sense to me. It's like he made the kid. If the kid's starving to death, no, I don't feel bad for not whipping out my wife. I'll do it because, I've probably got the money to help the kid. I don't care that much. But all I'm saying is I'm not going to feel guilty if the kid's suffering, that I'm going to be mad at the father for letting the kid suffer, the biological father. And that's just me being in reality, not me being mean. So silly. He got to have the sex. He got to pass the genes down. Now you get to raise it. It's so goofy, dude. I don't know. I hate hearing that kind of stuff. And they're always asking, man. They're always like, oh, man, we need this, we need that. Oh, how can you? I hate that stuff. Cucked by the state. That's right. That law is very unacceptable. Truly, women's species difficult to understand. When they say yes, they always say no, no. Yeah, I would say men and women are hard to understand. Have you ever reached a point in life where you're like, what is wrong with me? Have you ever reached that point? I think most people reach that point, both men and women. And when you've reached that point, you realize all you have to do is take it one step forward and be like, if you don't know what's wrong with you, your girlfriend definitely doesn't know. You have more information about yourself than she does. You have all your secrets in your head. So you know more about yourself than she does. And if you reach a point in life where you're like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why do I do these things? If you can't explain it, then imagine how she must feel. She must be extremely confused by some of your behaviors. Like, why do you do this? So, and girls are mysterious too. I think girls are definitely mysterious. I have noticed the stereotype that women are more emotional, right? Like they say that men are more emotional than women, but women express it more. That's what I've heard. But yeah, the mood swings, I've experienced all that. That's definitely accurate. Girls will be happy one moment, crying the next moment. But you just sort of accept it as part of reality, part of people's shortcomings, and then you just get over it. If you expect it to happen, then it doesn't bother you anymore. You just go, oh, okay. You try to listen to them, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just guys have their faults too. For example, if you didn't know this, most murders are actually men murdering their girlfriends and their wives. So a lot of, like, when someone goes missing, when someone gets murdered, it's almost always something that happened in a relationship. And although it's not always exclusively the guys that do it, a much, much, much larger portion of the time, it is the guys who do it. Guys do most of the murdering in relationships. So where the girls are like annoying, the guys are like committing murder. It's pretty disparaging, the difference. Guys are way more destructive than girls. That's all I'm saying anyways. Girls are more psychological, maybe. Like spiteful, vengeful, resentful. Redheads with freckles are perfect. Ken says, JV, it kind of sucks. I felt bad about it. I get the feelings quite a lot. She said, accent is different a little when really want to say no. What? Oh, wait. He says, so one time I asked, that is true. You said no. She answered no. What? I don't think I follow Kyra. Wellick says, being a single mother is a new career, but a single father gets freaked by not qualifying for those same benefits. Interesting. So that is definitely something I don't really know anything about because I don't have any kids, which I guess is nice in some ways, but man, I gotta have kids soon. I'm getting older. Actually, I guess for guys, you can have kids at any age. It's girls that really are on a timer, aren't they? Donald Trump, he's like 70-something. He's got like a 13-year-old or something like that, right? Why do I have the big autism? Why do I have the big autism? That is a really interesting question. Yeah, that is an interesting question. Why do I have the big autism? I think a lot of like socially unacceptable behavior these days is really just spun off as autism. You have autism. I have autism. You have autism. I think it's really important that you don't label yourself too much and that you focus on just being able to function well in society and like understand the mechanisms of your behaviors and then have goals, have things you want to do. And I mean, don't ignore the labels either, I guess. Like if you have a problem, get help for it, but don't allow yourself to develop an identity around a label. That's very dangerous. What happened? Did something happen? I heard a noise. Hold on. I'm going... Oh my god, Streamlabs takes so long to load. Give me a moment. Freaking Streamlabs. I could talk about most of this stuff all day, man. I love talking. Let me hit reload here. Streamlabs is like broken. I didn't see what happened. Did somebody else see what happened? Oh, here we go. It's responding finally. Hopefully I didn't just lose the live stream by reloading this. Sometimes when something's going on that slows my computer down, the live stream will actually be interrupted by that. Oh, there we go. Now, let me jump over here to analytics. It sounded like a donation came through, but there was no message. Hold on, guys. I'll jump back to the comment section in a moment. Hunt Savage Devil Joe. Okay, we'll join that. And that was Enzu donating $25. Oh, thanks, man. That was really generous of you. Wow. True Sighted says, until you're old enough that she remembers more than you do. When me and my wife watched Clannad, I cried more than her. My wife, apparently, she was... So my wife's a huge weeaboo. She loves all the animus and all that stuff, and I never really was. But she watched all of Clannad, and she told me how she really, really, really liked it. And so early on in our relationship, I tried to watch Clannad with her, but she couldn't watch it with me because she was so embarrassed by it every step of the way. Like, every time she would turn on an episode, we'd lay down, get comfortable, and we'd be watching Clannad, and she'll just be like, okay, I got to turn this off, because she's, like, blushing and everything. Because it's so, like, I guess I didn't watch that much of it in the end, because she couldn't take it. But I guess it's, like, an emotional show, and, yeah, it was pretty funny. Clannad. I want the Mushroom Mancer attack jewel. Oh, that sucks, man. You don't have it. Enzu donated. It was meh. Diamond. How do you think about girl get bored of a relationship? That's actually a really interesting question because I don't think that's exclusively a female thing. I think that's a human thing. In fact, I think both men and women get bored very fast. And funny enough, I don't think my wife and I suffer too much from this kind of problem. A part of the reason is because when you get bored of a relationship, what you do is you have your interesting friends around you, and then you go, oh, what if I had sex with one of my interesting friends who I've never had sex with? And then that's going to lead to cheating or maybe emotional cheating, whatever it is, right? Lucky for us, we don't have any friends. Ah, perfect. She's got like one girlfriend, not like a girlfriend, you know what I mean? But she's got two friends. They're both girls from her childhood. They live far away. One lives like 2 hours away, literally. The other lives like 45 hours away, so she never sees them. I've got my friend who moved to South Carolina, and I have a few other friends who I just don't even talk to anymore. We like talk over Facebook every now and then, and that's it. So we just have no friends. So if we're ever bored of each other, it's just like, what are you gonna do? There's nothing to do. There's nothing. There's no one to break up to and jump over to. So funny if you get in a relationship and you get into a really isolated relationship where it's just you and her, all the temptation goes away. There's nothing to be tempted by. You know what I mean? There's nothing to be tempted by. You're just isolated. It's just you and her. But as for feeling bored in the relationship, that is a really interesting thing. She and I have been together like 7 or 8 years now, and the weird thing is, having sex isn't even as interesting as it used to be. You know what I mean? And those of you who have been in a long-term relationship know this. It just becomes like a thing you can do comfortably, and you enjoy it, and you're like, ah, that was awesome. We're awesome, and you high five. But it doesn't have like the sort of ravenous, crazy, ripping each other's clothing off feeling to it anymore, and that's because you know everything about each other, and so it's more like this. It's more like it's almost like masturbating. Isn't that weird? It's more like this quiet, comfortable thing you do together now. So yeah, it's finding a person boring is an interesting problem in a relationship, but maybe it's different for different people. Maybe it comes down to personality type too, right? So you guys know that I pick up a video game and I play it for like 4,000 hours, and one of the reasons for that is because I don't get bored easily. Well, I do get bored easily. I get impatient, but I'm typically very dedicated to one thing that I'm working on, and that's actually true for relationships as well. It's true for work. It's true for relationships. I'm somebody who has a lot of focus and just doesn't get tired too quickly. I don't know about her either. I think it helps that we both have kind of conservative personalities. You know, oh my God. Is this really going to happen? You going to smack us? Get out of here, man. Really? My little dude can't run past him? Dude, you suck, man. You suck, Jaggers. Alright, Cool Steve is here. We got this now. Cool Steve, we should probably meet up with the other guys. So both my wife and I, we're more private. We have very private. We're not. We're both introverts. That's for sure. I'm probably the less introverted of the two, and she's very introverted. She's a very introverted, kind of shy kind of girl, and so we just don't go to parties. We don't go to bars. We don't go anywhere there might be temptation. We don't have a bunch of friends tempting us to do something out of boredom, and I don't know. I don't get that bored anyways. I do understand that there's boredom, but it doesn't like make me want to take something like a good relationship and throw it away just because, oh man, I'm a little bit bored. It's like you're going to get bored of a lot of things, but usually the best things in life are things you have to work really hard for. A good job, savings, retirement, skill in a video game. So think about the speedrunners who are like experts of this game. You don't think they get bored sometimes? They do get bored sometimes. And they keep playing, and then they get the world-class speedrun right, and then they're famous for it. So it's probably the same way in relationships. Like if you're feeling bored, you're just going to have to find a way to ignore the boredom, work on some concept, some part of your relationship where you can keep growing. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the problems I think aren't just boredom. It's also when one person in the relationship outgrows the other person. So maybe you're suddenly picking up something like you're getting really fit. That's a dangerous one, I would say, because if you pick up that one, you also start to look more attractive too, so it's easier to get into a relationship with another person. But yeah, so if your girlfriend starts working out, you better start working out. Don't mess at all. You better start working out just like her. And but yeah, so if one person outgrows the other person, this is very close to the issue of boredom. You have to keep growing together and finding something to work on together, or else yeah, the relationship can feel stagnant, and then you will seek maybe outside wildness and outside excitement. It's pretty normal. Actually, one of my relationships was really boring, and the real cause of it, the cause of the boredom, was the fact that I don't think she was that smart. It was actually my first girlfriend. She was very attractive. Okay, she was very attractive. I basically picked her out exclusively on her attractiveness. I didn't care about anything else because I didn't know any better. I was really young. And so I'm like, man, she's so good looking. And, you know, we were wild and young. And I learned that she was really not interesting at all. She was actually really uninteresting. When we had conversation, she didn't really keep up. It's like she wasn't smart enough. I don't know. She was smart in other ways. Like, she was good at math, but she just never had anything to add or to say. You know what? She never had a funny joke. She never had a, ha, got you. You know, she never had any of those. She was just this hot girl and extremely boring. And my wife now is not like that at all, right? So I met her at the chess club at school. She's educated. She actually catches on to jokes very quickly and can play around with them. And she enjoys politics. She enjoys listening to two smart people debate. You know, we'll sit down and we'll watch like a debate with, who knows, maybe like, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, Sam something. Can't remember his name. Or just a good conversation. We'll watch TV shows together that we both find really interesting. So it's possible that the boredom is there because there's a real problem. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you find her boring because she is boring. And then it's up to you to end it. Do you see? You have to end it. Don't wait for her to get interesting, because she won't. But if you're getting bored because you've been together in a good relationship for, like, let's say 5 years, it's kind of like just like having a job. You're gonna reach a point where it's like running into a wall every morning and you're like, man, this is boring as hell. But if you need to evaluate your relationship and be like, no, this is a good relationship, I couldn't do better than this. You just huff it and puff it and be like, I love you, baby. That's how it goes, you know. You're the best. And the other thing I would say is, don't always look to her to solve your boredom. Maybe you've grown dependent on her to make you happy. And you can't do that with women. You have to be very careful that you're not basing all of your happiness on how she treats you. You have to make sure that you can be independently happy. That's very important. So if you're feeling bored in the relationship, pick up a freaking hobby or something and find some other way to be happy. Don't just wait for her to make you happy. And that's another thing you can do, along with the mistake of giving yourself like an identity around something like, oh, I'm autistic, oh, we're bored. You know, people are always trying to find these words to explain some way that they're unhappy, but sometimes you're responsible for making yourself happy, not her. And you can make a mistake of waiting for her to make you happy, and she, you know, obviously she won't. So it is a complicated question, and this is why I was saying earlier, you kind of have to get out there. You kind of have to get out there and start dating, because how do you decide that, no, she's actually boring and I need to get out of this relationship? How do you make that decision? Well, you can usually make the decision from having some experience. Same with your girlfriend too, by the way. She doesn't figure this stuff out either until she's had maybe a little bit of world experience, right? I actually don't find girls that have had too much, let's say, experience attractive, and I think that's the same for a lot of guys. I find it kind of a turnoff. And I expect myself to be very wise and all that stuff. That's my job. You know what I mean? But maybe that's sexist, but I don't care. I don't care. I really don't. I don't care. Guess what, guys? When people tell you something sexist, you can just tell them that you don't care. That's allowed. You don't have to care. You're not even allowed to look at women. That is sexist. I don't care. I'm going to look anyways. So, anyways. Yeah, all that stuff. You figure this stuff out through experience, and that's really, really important. And going all the way back to what we were talking at the beginning of this subject, if you're a hikikomori, you're missing out on those vital years to go out there and experiment with your relationships and find out what you like and what you don't like, and how to be a good person, and how to meet her needs, and find out what your needs are, and what needs you have that might be bad needs. Like, maybe I shouldn't be this way. Oh God, he's gonna get me. Maybe I shouldn't be this way. That's right, get paralyzed. Bitch! I can't believe I'm playing with one eye. It's crazy. Like, I've actually gotten better at it. Like, my brain's adjusted. Because I'm like playing with less information, but I kind of have like an idea of what's going on with less information. It's weird. I too have felt like my relationship is a 9-to-5 job. Yeah, see, so what you might be needing is a new hobby, and you might be needing to. You could even tell her like, "Hey, I'm feeling a little bored. Let's do something like weird together. Let's get a new hobby together that we didn't have before." But sometimes it just comes down to her actual personality, and that was the problem I had with that first relationship. She was just attractive, and she couldn't tell a joke. The idea that women are strictly not funny isn't true. Like, you can tell how smart a girl is by how quickly she responds to a joke, but also if she can like tweak the joke and use it on you too. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different ways to kind of decipher how intelligent a girl is. Also, like, her ability to write well is another key giveaway. And this girl that I was with just had none of those qualities. She didn't know anything about politics. She didn't want to know anything about politics. Her mom and dad were kind of like hillbillies somehow, right? They were like hillbillies, and she was young, and I was like, man, she's not like them. She was like them. She was a hillbilly too. That's the truth. So that relationship ended, and she was almost definitely boring. And the friends her high school friends were boring. That's another dead giveaway. She got boring friends. It's not a mistake that she has boring friends. It's because she's probably a little bit boring too. And so you kind of fall into a group with your friends. Like, I'm like them, they're like me. So sometimes a key giveaway is how clever and fun are her parents, and how clever and fun are her friends. And if none of them are clever and fun, especially her parents, she won't be either. That's just how it is. I too have felt like my. Oh, I already read that one. Everyone, get you a girl who liked talking about aliens. All right, I'm going to go ahead and jump to the bottom. I'm going to miss out on a bunch of comments because of this. So let's go ahead and jump. Your opinion on hickeys. They're very sexy. I love hickeys. I don't like to receive them. I actually hate being kissed on the neck. I looked it up. That's a real thing. Apparently, men do not like being kissed on the neck as much as girls, and it's because it makes you feel like, I don't know, like an aggressive thing. So I hate being kissed on the neck. I love giving hickeys. I think they're very sexy. However, if your girlfriend or your wife has a has a professional job, you might not want to do it. That's a very easy question. You can have any opinion you want on something like that. You can be like, yeah, I love them. Yeah, I hate them. So definitely not a difficult question. You poked your eye out. No, I didn't poke my eye out. I'm still working on the whole issue with having a headache probably from eye strain. Straight says, what's up with your eye? I have eye strain. I'm pretty sure I have migraine headaches being triggered by eye strain. So right now, one of my eyes, I have a patch over it. And it's the eye that develops a very heavy. So behind the eye that hurts, I get an extremely bad headache, and it occurs after live streaming for a period of time. And so now I've put a patch on so that I can do this live stream without using that eye, and I think it's working. I think it's actually working. The headache has not increased, so I think it's actually working. Is GE talking about his experience with his wife? No, actually, this is with the previous girlfriend. How about honeymoon? All skip, please. Oh, okay. Are you talking about the honeymoon phase? I know there's like a term, the honeymoon phase, that refers to like maybe the first year of your relationship when everything is good and easy. Weirdly enough, I never really experienced this. I felt that the beginning of the relationship was always very exciting because, you know, you get to see her naked for the first time. You get to be naked together for the first time. So that, yes, that's all true. But the wild, you know, like, oh, you know, I never felt like that lasted more than a few days. And then we were in, well, maybe not a few days, like more than a few months, let's say. Days is maybe an exaggeration. But it definitely didn't last more than like a month or two. And then you're like, yeah, we're familiar with each other, you know, I don't enjoy relationships on the concept of that intense sexual attraction. I've always enjoyed relationships more on the concept of, I guess, sort of like almost like you're mine, you know, like you're mine. Oh, very possessive almost. And this doesn't really require so much the honeymoon phase. It's a great feeling. I get a great feeling of feeling like this is my girlfriend and no one else's. Yeah, it's a real possessive. Did I say girlfriend? I said these girlfriends are mine. Anyways, JV says, I want to raise a baby Raging. What conversation did I join? Holy crap, that Raging is huge. I've had migraines too. They're horrible, and I had to take medication to help it. Yeah, so I might be contacting a doctor tomorrow to figure this out, because I do not want. I had a migraine yesterday that was more intense than I've ever experienced in my life, and it was so bad that it's making me want to do something about it. It's like, Jesus Christ. Kieran is actually a good name. I'm hooked to the eyes. BGM out. I'm hooked. I can't even see him. It's too dark. Ow. Oh, my character just getting knocked around. Been playing for you recently. Monsters hit so much harder. Furious Raging takes away 70% of your health with most hits. It should be companionship and entertainment, not just sex. Well, and don't forget though, obviously, and probably most of you guys will already agree with this. I think guys agree with this easily. Sex really is important. So if you're not having sex with your girlfriend or your wife, then you're on a relationship that's on its way out for sure. It's extremely important. Because it's like, if you're not having sex with them, what kind of relationship is that? The whole point of like a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship is that you have sexual access to each other. And so if you meet somebody and they're not having sex, you can almost predict easily that they're going to break up, you know what I mean? If you're having sexual problems, then this is going to be very serious in the relationship, in my opinion. Oh, really? Oh, darn it. Picked up the orange buff. I wanted the red buff. There's the red buff. Yeah, so that's what really defines the relationship is A, sexual exclusivity and the fact that you do have sex, and B, children. Otherwise, you're just friends, or she's like a friend of the family or something like that, you know what I mean? So you have to be sexually active, or it's going to be real bad. You have to be sexually active for a good long time, I'd say. I'm getting an evil look from my girlfriend right now. Oh my lord. Thanks so much for that donation, by the way, Enzu. Stop talking about Kieran around Raging before he gets hungry. How much sleep are you getting? I usually get an okay amount of sleep, but some days I don't sleep very much, and it's because I'm always what's the word? I'm always ready to get back to work and put some good hours in, basically. But I usually get good sleep, I'd say. It just seems like I stay up really late, which is accurate. But the reason I stay up so late is so that I get more time to work. Because if I'm awake at the same time my wife is, she will just want to hang out. So I get a lot of my work done while she's asleep. And this is how I'm getting a lot of my work done. She's asleep and not able to tell me, come on, let's go hang out. Since we do all of our work from home, right? So she works from home, I work from home. If she wants to hang out, it's very hard to just say, no, I got to go work. Because then you got to kick her out of the room and all that stuff. Much easier to just do it when she's asleep. If you're not having it with her, Chad will be doing it for you. Oh, God. Sorry, TGC. This is where I go now. Bye, everyone. See you, Supernova. It's important, definitely, but it's hollow when it's the only good thing you have. Oh, and yeah, that's probably another good example, actually, of a failing relationship is when all you have is sex, which probably would describe my first relationship. It was mostly just sexual and not so much about us enjoying each other at all. So, well, let's go to the bar. I'm like, no, bars are stupid. Why would you go to a bar? I talk about politics. She's like, why would you talk about politics? Politics are stupid. Oh, no. This is not going to end well. Oh, snap. Don't do it. I don't think you need to have sexually active for a relationship. Where I come from, people often reserve that for after marriage. Oh, well, yeah, that's fine. I'm not referring to like waiting to having sex. I'm just saying when you are married, you better be having sex. That's what I mean. And also, if you come from a place where people still practice the whole sex before marriage, you better be getting married young. I don't have any problem with that either. But I would not wait to 25 to have sex. I think that having sex is really important for your development as a person. Some people are like, I'll wait until I'm married. Well, it's that. Don't wait till you're 25 because you're going to be like an 18-year-old in a 25-year-old's body. If you think about our ancestors, they were having sex probably at like 16. They were having sex as soon as possible because you only lived to 30. Did you guys know that back in the day you lived to 30 years old? So if you're 15, you're already old. You're halfway through life by 15 because you're on your way out at 30. You don't live that long. You know, people, they would get like sick from the bad water. They didn't understand anything about microbiology or anything like that. So you would get sick and just die, and or you know, you'd get an easy to treat curable disease that we get today that you could just go to the hospital for. But back then, nope. You get like an injury and you're done for, that kind of stuff, right? So your average age was like 35 or something like that. So yeah, you're 15, you're already halfway dead, and you were having sex at the age of 15 and having children at the age of 15 and getting married right away. Now it's like, yeah, I'm gonna wait till I'm 25 to have sex for the first time. Marriage first, guys. It's like, no, human biology is definitely not set up for that. Human biology is definitely set up for you to be sexually active pretty young. That's why you go through puberty at a young age. Duh. Come on, man. Come on, man. What about animals? Animals don't wait. You know, animals just go at it as soon as they've hit puberty. Well, if you weren't religious, you would probably agree with the animals. You'd be like, yep, it's time to go. Mother Nature says so, so it's time to do it. Come on, give me the orange. Where's the orange? Oh my god, I rolled into it. There we go. Hey man, any tips on fighting Raging Bracky? Do a bunch of damage to him and try not to die. Do you have Divine Blessing 5? I noticed it triggers easy. Do I? I'm not sure. Brah! Yeah, I've been engaged for about a year. We're sexually active, but I've never felt bored or like the relationship is empty. Yeah. Well, it's scary, you know, getting sexually active in a relationship. If you move too fast, she's going to feel like it's just sexual. And she might be right, too, by the way. You know, that was one of the things I learned as well. It's like, oh, I love you. Not really. You just kind of want to have sex. And that's not really... I know that our culture tells you, oh, you need to get out there and score as many times. But I don't, even as somebody who's not Christian or anything like that, I don't agree with that. That's just not good for anyone. So if you're getting with a girl who you don't intend to marry, what you're really doing is you're having sex with somebody else's partner, and that's not fair. So if you want to be courteous to another guy, you'll only reach that point of maybe having sex with a girl that you're very serious about making your wife. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I think it's selfish and it's destructive, both of those things. So do you think our society is backwards? We should have kids first? Yes. Our society is, and you're not seeing it yet because it hasn't been 100 years. Okay, so it needs to be about 100 years or longer, and you will see the side effects of believing that the point of life is for both you and your wife to work. You think that that's the point of life, for you to have more toys, live in a fancier neighborhood, and have no children because, you know, her feminist, whatever. I say her feminist, whatever. What I mean is... modern political liberal ideas about, oh, women need to be basically men and do the work of men and not really have the free time to have children and the comfort to have children, and the men don't feel like they don't play a role as a man. You know, you're not a man. You're just this. You're almost like two men, you know, living together, two husbands living together, right? Who wants to have sex and babies with another guy? You're never going to feel that way. It's just not going to happen. So you're going to see the side effects of that in about 100 years, if not sooner, maybe in like 30, 40 years. You're going to see the side effects. But right now, we don't see the side effects because, is an issue of just needing to see that generation after generation's not having children because of these modern concepts of success. Having no children is not success. Having a family is success. And now, if you can have a family and be extremely wealthy, that's tons of success. You did really good. But if you just had no family and lots of wealth, what was the point of it? Unless you're this sort of hedonist that doesn't really believe in the human race continuing, or maybe you're this sort of depressive, suicidal type who you don't really believe that you should be contributing to the gene pool, right? So it could be any number of reasons why you think you shouldn't have children. You get like the weirdo girls who, oh, I'm not going to have kids because I'm going to save the environment by not having kids, right? They're so brainwashed, so brainwashed. You know, the people who shouldn't be having children are, well, anyways, I won't go. It's such a tricky topic anyways, but let me get out of the way of this guy. The point is, you really should be valuing your family before your material objects that you own. Is the point. And at the very least, if you're practicing family planning, like if you're okay, let's get this, we're gonna get this house, we're gonna get this so and so before we have kids. I can understand that at least. I just wish that society did a better job of telling people that they really should be having families, because your toys don't go with you when you die, but you are survived through your children. You know, your children leave an actual legacy behind. Right now you exist and you have conscious awareness and you're talking to me and you're the legacy of your ancestors. See? So it's like all meaning in life kind of comes back down to actual existence. And when you don't bring humans into existence, then, you know, it's kind of a philosophical topic, but when you think long enough about it, there's not a lot else in life that matters. Having children and a family matters. Having more toys is a really nice thing, especially if you can do it at the same time that you have a family. But if you don't have a family, what was it all for? You just die with your toys. Your toys never loved you. You know, they're basically like jerking off. That's what your toys are. Your toys are like a fantastic form of jerking off. It might be, oh, I love games. You know, it's just entertainment, dude. You do it because it feels good. It gives you like a reward feeling in the reward centers of your brain. Is a different type of jerking off. And being told you should just do this your whole life and have nothing meaningful happen in your life, like getting a wife and getting children, you're being lied to by people who are, yay, all the women are having abortions and we're all on birth control and nobody has children anymore. It's progress. It's not progress. That's actually the opposite of progress. And again, you won't see it for like maybe another 30 years, but there'll be conversations that we'll be having in 30 years about people who didn't have any children because they were told, oh, you should be more afraid of not being wealthy than not having children. No, it's the wrong prioritization. And especially all this stuff we do for women where it's like, oh man, women should just not have children. They need to go out and climb the corporate ladder and turn 30 and turn 40 before having any children. It's like, well, okay, enjoy having one kid, if any kids. And then at that point, guys are kind of done with you. You know, guys are like, you can't even have kids anymore. So why would we, other than maybe you're a great fuck buddy, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a very serious topic. I think having kids is a choice, but some people don't do it just to be different and go against norms. Some people don't do it because they're not being given good advice and they're not making good choices in life, in my opinion. Why do feminists want to do men's work? I'll rather stay home and do housework than working outside every day. Well, you know, it's really interesting because when you kind of look into it a little bit, women really do not do men's jobs. So first of all, you know, like when you go to New York City and you see these huge skyscrapers in the sky, women don't build skyscrapers. It's just mostly men. Men build whole huge countries. They build huge oil rigs. They build huge nuclear reactors. They build huge car plants, right, where you make your car, not warehouse, manufacturing companies. They build huge companies like this. And men have been doing this for so long. And we all become soldiers and generals, and we kill each other. How did the British used to fight? You again, like, remember how they used to fight a long time ago when maybe 1800s or something? You get in a line, right? And then the other side would get in a line, and you'd stand there, and you'd shoot at each other in a line. And then, you know, you went to the back of the line to reload, and the next line walked forward and fired again. Your head get blown off. Your arm would get blown off. Some cannonball would hit you, right? That's been the existence for men forever. So we kill each other to establish a dominance, you know, who's stronger. And then we set the law. You have to have law because that's what gives order and security to the rest of your country and unity as well. And then we build everything. We build all of the huge buildings. We build all of the huge companies. We build the nuclear power plants. We build the coal plants. We build the electrical plants. We build just everything. And now like 1950s and 60s roll around, the birth control pills come out, And all of a sudden, you're just being force-fed this idea that there's this certain equality between men and women. But when you actually look out in the world, men still do much of the engineering. Men still do much of the nuclear power plants. Men still do much of the military stuff. You know, like the generals who run you think that it's just the president who runs a country. It's the generals. The generals are in the background. They're the ones that actually give power to politicians. If the generals in a country decided they don't like a politician, what is the politician going to do? Like beat up the general physically? You got to do what I say. The general's going to shake his head and say, no, the military actually does what I say. I have the military, and I work for you, but you and I actually have to agree on things. So you go to like a liberal college and they drill into your head, equality, 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 equality. They just keep drilling this all lies. It's all fake. All of it. It's all very fake. And they want to take women, and because they have a vagina. You got a penis, they have a vagina, and they say, well, we got to put a lot of women in power in Congress and all and everything like that. And then what do they want to do? They're like, oh, let's have open borders immigration. Let's have open borders immigration and tons of socialism. That's generally what they want. And it's like, wow, men worked so hard to build this country, and you just want to throw it away almost. It's crazy. When you look at the Supreme Court justices, it's the exact same way. Go through the cases and look how they vote. And that's how the women in the Supreme Court vote. That's why the Liberal Party likes Ruth Bader Ginsburg so much. She votes the same way, is extremely liberal, and she's been alive for forever, and she just keeps voting that way. And they think that this is progress, and it's not progress. It really is not. People who think it's more like maybe it's a changing of types of politics from capitalism to socialism. You know, there's like a shifting of power, shifting of the system. And people who are in favor of socialism and communism, they're happy for this. They're like, wow, this is real progress, guys. We've done it. And it's, I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm always open to concepts like socialism and communism. I'm open to those ideas. But the truth is, I think that capitalism is the least racist, least sexist system in the world because it allows anyone to work as long as they're doing good work. When you get into socialism's real scary because I think that at that point, you have to start discriminating against people. Who do you want to be socialist with? A group of poor people or a group of rich people? I would say a group of rich people. I would take socialism all day with the group of rich people. It'll work. But I wouldn't take socialism with a group of poor people because they would just want your money. So you never want to be the rich guy in a socialist country. You want to be the poor guy in a socialist country. And the sort of class warfare that will develop out of it is going to be extreme. And what is that going to lead to? Lots of racism, and lots of tribal warfare. So it shouldn't surprise you at all that all the identity politics comes from the left because they're the socialists. And then communism as well is another serious issue. I think communism can work. All you have to do is have a fierce, terrifying leader who is willing to trample all of his people in order to win, and as well as any other country that gets in your way. So a communist country is, in my eyes, is like a form of tyranny or monarchy almost. And it's basically a government that's not beholden to the people, and they can do all kinds of nasty things like organ harvesting, all kinds of propaganda machine. They can do tons of currency manipulation, steal from their people, and their people are just effed and can't vote out the people who are manipulating the currency. They can force you to have certain numbers of children. Oh, you can only have one child, not two, right? They can do all kinds of nasty things to you in order to basically turn you into a slave in your own country. And this is good for the party because it makes the country wealthy and powerful. And then they put all that toward the military. So communism can work too. I think that explains why China is doing so well. You know, China's pretty close to America in terms of GDP. The gap is not that large. You know, you want to know where the gap is large. The gap is large when you compare China to any other European country, and then you will see that China's way ahead of them. You will have to add like all the European countries together in order to have the same GDP as China. You would have to add them all together to be close. So it's actually kind of scary when you look at that and think, wow, how the European countries have been so far ahead for so long, and now China just blasts right past them all. And it's like, well, maybe communism works. All you got to do is turn your own people into like slaves, basically, and this can actually work. So yeah, do I think socialism can work? Yeah, you just have to be in a socialist country with wealthy people and kick out all the poor people. Kick out all the poor, the losers, the people at the bottom of the hierarchy. Find some way to get rid of them. This will include all kinds of discrimination. And then socialism will work well. You'll be able to balance your balance sheet, right? You'll be able to be a wealthy country. You just have to keep all the poor, sad people out. And then at the same time with communism, that works too. You just have to turn your people into slaves, right? So one powerful party turns everyone else into a bunch of slaves. And maybe you have everything manufactured in your country, and everyone's like, yeah, let's go to that country to manufacture our shit. Because those people over there, they get their currency manipulated and they work like slaves. Capitalism is nice because, again, it doesn't discriminate against people, and it's voluntary, and it's the least sexist, the least racist system. It says anyone who is a good investment, working hard, productive, you can choose to wake up and be productive each day. So that's why I like capitalism. People don't think that way. They're just like, oh man, capitalism's boring and old. I'm a hippie. I'm cool and young, and I'm not like the other girls. I believe in socialism. That's socialism today for young people. They're so stupid. They're so stupid. It's not even for them. It's for the old people who need like their cancer treatment. It's mostly for the old people who need their cancer treatment. Now women can do whatever they want in most states in the world. Unfortunately, there are still some states which discriminate women, but begin a feminist America do not resolve that. Hey guys, does Safi return? Hey mister, when's Safi mister? Birth control, let that happen. Child labor is, it says COVID is going away tomorrow. Money comes from resources, and China has a lot of resources, bro. Look at the size difference. China's biggest resources is its huge population and the fact that they work for nothing. They work for ridiculously low amounts of money in their own country. And then what China does is it then manipulates this currency too to take more money, which, by the way, we do this as well. So America is always pointing fingers at China going, oh, you can't do that. America does the same thing. All right. Except that the difference is if we don't like that our leaders are doing this, we can fire them. You can't fire people in China. It doesn't work that way. They'll fire you real fast. But yeah, so you can at least be aware of what's going on in your country and disapprove of it and vote against it. But you can't do that in China. So they can just manipulate the currency all day, which is a form of stealing from their own people. And I don't know what to say about it. I don't know what to say. It's bad, man. You guys think the hunter is the one talking? I hope the lecture is provided by the Palco. AXNGY says, oh my god, I finally just got 10 Celestials from the Steamworks. Whoa. Josh says, oh, I'm sorry, didn't know it has been asked, just joined. No problem, man. Sequib says, the reason for China's dominance is also because of rare earth material. Well, from what I understand, it's not just rare materials, but the fact that they go out to other countries and farm those materials. But think about how long America and the European countries have had to establish the same dominance over rare materials, and yet still China just blasts past all of them. How is it able to do that? And it's simple. It's because they have a combination of free markets and communism. The communism says, we're going to let you guys compete in the world like free markets, but also we're going to control everything you do, which means you're always going to be loyal to us, and we're going to manipulate our currency, and our huge population is going to act like slaves for the rest of the world. But hey, we get a slice of the money. We the communist government, we're going to get a slice of that slavery. It's nice. You know what I mean? So they could, in other words, what China could have done is, as they're growing, they could have quickly improved the quality of life, and they could have grown their middle class very quickly, and they chose not to do this. It was intentional. They chose not to do this so that the manufacturing can continue to, because what happens this is, people like the free market, right? You got these economists, they call themselves free market economists. They say the free market's great. You let, you put your money wherever it's most efficient. So you would say it's more efficient to put your money in China, have them manufacture it over there, and ship it over here because their labor's cheap. And what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to pay them for that, and then they become a middle class, and it reaches a point where there's like an equilibrium. Okay, so their middle class rises up, they start demanding better wages, and then they're basically the same as you. So you and the people in China are requesting the same. They're requesting the same payment for the same job, because they worked hard and they became wealthy, and now they have a certain standard. That doesn't actually happen in China because the communist government doesn't allow it to happen. Okay, so how is it the communist government of China has much greater GDP than any other country beneath it, right? All these European countries, how does it have that? It's actually getting close to America, and yet it doesn't have the same quality of life. It doesn't have the same middle class. It's because the communist government manipulated the earnings from all the work that was done, so that it goes into the hands of the communist government and not so much into the hands of all the people of China. It doesn't allow that because it doesn't want that. Your workers are the reason that you're becoming wealthy, and we don't care about that. We're over here playing on our iPhones, going, "Hey, this was made in China. I don't give a shit," and everyone's guilty of that, I suppose. And what are you going to do about it? Oh, I can't do anything about it, right? Yeah. I only buy things made in America. You ever get tired of people saying that kind of stuff? I only buy things made in America. It's like annoying almost, but no, it is actually a serious issue, and one that I'm sure we'll do nothing about. And I actually feel like China has a very fair chance of becoming the world's main economic power, surpassing America. I think it has a very fair chance with that. It doesn't mess with any of the SJW bullshit. It doesn't mess with any of the feminism bullshit. They're not playing around. They're there to be the world superpower. They're very serious about it, and they don't have to play by the same rules because they don't get voted in. So if they just have a leader that's more competent than our leaders who do get voted in, we're in serious trouble, I think. And yeah, when I actually see the people in political power in our country who are more focused on these stupid issues, like, oh man, we got to have women on the board of directors because they got coochies, and we got to have equality, man. When I hear about that kind of stuff, I get real nervous because I think, man, that has nothing to do with productivity. It has nothing to do with competition. It's just your own utopian idealism, religion of feminism that says, oh, this is the way it has to be because if it's not, that would be sexist. That's not equal. And really, what they mean by equal is I need your stuff, I need communism, I need equity, I need forced equity. And that's not how it works. You lose very quickly to a country that doesn't pay attention to that shit. They're like, no, we just want the fastest, most powerful, best workers. It has nothing to do with your sex. And that's what China will do. That's what China will do, and that's why I think they have a very serious shot of surpassing. They already surpassed all of Europe. Explain that, Europe. Like, what the hell, guys? What were you doing? You know what I mean? Like, what were you guys doing? How do you let China surpass everyone? And by so much, as that's why I started out with. By so much. By so much. You're not even close to catching up with them. None of them are. Germany isn't. UK isn't. France isn't. You're not even close to China. Same with the US, by the way. All of Europe's very far behind the US as well, who still remains the world's economic superpower. True communism has never been tried. Right. Well, and I think that China is true communism, and I think that they do have a shot of, again, being the world's superpower, economic superpower. So, in a sense, maybe they were right. Maybe communism does work. Maybe everything just boils down to power, and if you can hold on to enough power and turn enough people into slaves, you become wealthy. You ever watch Clannad? My wife my wife tried to watch a little bit of it with me, and she couldn't because she was so embarrassed. But no, I haven't really watched it. And China did until someone ate a bat. Equality is important, but it shouldn't be put above. To me, equality is not that important. In fact, I don't care about equality at all. What I care about is making sure that people who are productive are put into positions where they can be the most productive. That is what I care about. All the fear and crying over equality is all stupidness. It really bugs the hell out of me. I don't see it as a form. I see it almost like a form of jealousy. So if you want to talk about equality, this is my form of equality. Everyone gets the same math test. That's equality. Everyone gets the same math test. That would be equality. But what that will lead to is some kids will get an A, some kids will get an F, and that's just how it is. Some kids will be losers. They will not finish their math. They will not become engineers. And boo-hoo, too bad for them. They can still live in luxury in a nice, beautiful country where they live in more of a middle-class house, more of a lower middle-class house, and that's okay. And if you're clever, you say, hey, that's fine. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to contribute in my own way. I don't have to be an engineer, and I don't have to beg for, forced equality. But that's not the equality that you hear about on the left. The equality you hear about on the left is more like, oh, women have to be engineers. We got to get women in. Well, it's so stupid. It's really dumb. Women have to be engineers so that we can be just like men. It's like, maybe women don't want to be engineers. What's wrong with that? Maybe when I had 11 siblings, right? So I had 11 of them. Maybe girls like to play with dolls and boys like to play with building blocks. And that's not always exclusively true. Sometimes the girls like to play building blocks too, but as a whole, is generally that stereotype is accurate. Girls in my family did play with the dolls, and the guys went, ew, cooties and dolls, right? And there's nothing wrong with girls that fall out of that stereotype. You say, yeah, my wife's a computer scientist. She's a software engineer. It's awesome. She earns good money as a software engineer. But you go into school and you tell people you have to be, oh, girls have to be software engineers. It's no different than when you got like these Indian or Asian parents that are telling you you have to be a doctor. You know what I mean? And they make you want to commit suicide because your whole life is built on this concept that you have to have a particular job so that you'll have a certain material success, and then you stress your whole childhood is left with you know, just trying to make it by, trying to please your parents, trying to become wealthy, and going into a job that maybe you're not even passionate about, all because your parents believe, oh, you've got to be a doctor. It's the same thing what the feminists are doing to the girls. You got to be a software engineer. Maybe most girls don't want to be software engineers. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? And it's because that if that were true, then maybe girls wouldn't be equal to boys, because they think that equality is all about money. It's all about money and power, right? And it's not actually. Happiness is, and again, my belief about happiness and meaningfulness is going to come from whether or not you successfully had a family. It's not going to come from, oh, my wife's a software. It's so stupid, man. I hate it. I hate hearing that stuff. It sounds clever until you realize it's actually no. It's not clever at all. It's something that is really stupid that is wrapped up in words that make it sound clever. Like, oh, wow, that's clever. No, not really. It's not. It's not. When you analyze it for a while, it's not. It's not that clever. Meritocracy also has flaws from a humanitarian standpoint. Just look at Singapore's cultural issues. Right, meritocracy. I get that, but again, I was just talking about the fact that a meritocracy should include your success at having a family, not just at being monetarily and materially wealthy, right? So my whole point is, you go to work, you get a job, and you contribute to society, and if you're not good at math, like you hate math, and you find it boring, then you just need to accept that you're in a lower role in society because society is demanding math majors. And so the trick is to just be happy to be in the lower role and be like, yep, I'm here, and I don't mind that I'm lower down the hierarchy. Yep, you're higher, you're above me. But the trick is to not get jealous. The trick is to just be happy to be there and be like, hey, we can still be neighbors. I don't have to hate you. I don't have to be, scared of you, or what would be like the word jealous, and there's a word I'm looking for. Suspicious is a word very similar to suspicious. So yeah, you just have to find a way to accept your place in life and have a family. Like I keep saying, have a family. But no, everyone's so oh, we're gonna make women be engineers. It's like, yeah, you're gonna fuck them over is what you're gonna do. They're gonna become engineers and realize they hate it. Mashka says, you know doctor yet? That's right. Women can be engineers if they study and work hard to become an engineer. Right, and nobody's disagreeing with you. Again, my wife's an actual software engineer. But you get all these feminists that come around and they say, you have to be an engineer. We got to get more, this is what they say, we have to get more female engineers. Like, what? This is America. This is a free world. This is a free country. If she wants to be an engineer, she'll just sign up for it. If she wants to be an engineer, she'll watch YouTube videos on it and get excited for it. Why are you trying to force her artificially to be an engineer? And the reason that they're trying to force it, of course, is because engineers get paid more money. And the reason that matters to, all the feminists is because they're trying to have as much money as men. So to them, it's all about power. It's not really about happiness. It's about proving that women are as powerful as men. And it's all a huge lie. And it is bad for women. It's not actually going to make women happy. Shoot, where's this guy? Again, it's like what I said. You're going to turn 30, you're going to turn 40, you're going to find out you have no kids. Guys don't want to F you anymore. Guys don't want to have kids with you anymore. You're too old. It's going to turn out, you're going to find out as a girl that guys really don't find you attractive based on how cool of how far you climb the corporate ladder. I really, really do believe that. If you're a girl and you walked up and you said, hey, did you know I'm the CEO of a company? Guys don't go, wow, that's so sexy, babe. They don't do that. Guys really don't do that. Guys look at you and say, could you have children for me? Are you attractive? Are you young? Are you young and healthy and ready to have children? And that's what guys find attractive. And so you tell all these girls, yeah, you got to be doctors. Well, again, that's the analogy I'm using. I'm comparing it to what some guys are told they have to be doctors. It's just bad advice and it's harmful. And we accept it like it's good. And it's, oh, this is progress. We're all patting each other on the back. This is progress, man. This is progress. So much progress. How? Oh man, we have to do this. This is the only way. You know, that's how they sound. If you disagree with them, you are a misogynist, and you need to be. Your channel needs to be shut off because what you're teaching is, I don't know, like hate speech is violence. All this other crap. All this other made-up ideas. Essentially, they become very tyrannical about it themselves because in the end, it's just always been about power. It's all about power. Is people that want it force women into careers and tell them not to have kids? Well, yeah, precisely. And that's what will happen, you know, if a woman is told being happy and being successful is climbing the corporate ladder, she's going to find out that she didn't have kids when she could have, and now maybe she's even struggling to have kids, or maybe it's too late for her to have kids entirely. Remember how I mentioned that there's not that many fish in the sea? That's true the other way around, too. So it's not just guys that compete for girls. Girls compete for guys. And so if a girl's waiting till like her 30s to get a good partner who wants to settle down and have kids, they're all gone. All the girls who wanted to have that already picked the guys. They already said, nah, he's mine. So all those guys are gone. You got the leftover guys. You get the leftover guys. You get the leftover guys who are like, yeah, I'm an asshole. I'm a terrible person. I have all kinds of emotional problems, and you're stuck with me because you were busy climbing the... See what I'm saying? So it's all way more important than your material objects. Oh man, I'm gonna be so wealthy if I just climb. It's such bad advice. It really is. It really is. This is why over time, even though I left religion, I slowly started having more respect for religions and an understanding of why they've existed for so literally like thousands of years. There's not a lot of institutions that last that long. You know, the Jews are here, the Muslims are here, and the Christians are here. Like, what the hell? They've been doing well. They have not disappeared. And it's mostly because they understand that there's an order where, you know, the man takes his orders from, like, God, right? So God's this perfect being, and the man has to be like him, right? So you're supposed to be, like, Christ-like and all that stuff. It's the same in all the religions. You're supposed to learn to be, like, a superhero, basically. You're supposed to be a superhero, sacrificial, ready to protect and to serve and all this other good stuff. Productive, right? Righteous, wise. And so these Bibles civilize men is what they really do. They civilize men into being good people in society, but also good fathers and good husbands. And we throw that, oh, that's stupid. But then you go to stupid-ass Disney and watch, like, Thor or whatever, Iron Man, and that's your new Jesus. Thor's new Jesus. It basically, all that replaces the religions. And we don't need religions. We're so much smarter than religion. It's like, god damn it. And nobody's having kids. Nobody's having kids, and we're all going into $60,000 of debt, school debt, because we were lied to about needing an education. I didn't need an education for this. You know what's crazy? I'm successful here on this channel, this main channel. I started this other channel, this card channel. I'm successful over there. It feels like I'm almost not trying. Like, oh man. It feels like I'm not even trying. I never needed a degree for these things. Oh, Derek, you got to go $60,000 into debt for a useless degree so that you can be trapped in your small home and not ready to have kids. So bad. And then what do? I pay interest to the government for the next 5 years. So it's perfect. The government gets what it wanted, and I have no children. And most women today will be like, oh yeah, I won't date you unless you hate Donald Trump and stuff like that, right? It's so freaked up in so many ways. It really is. It really is, because we're so smart. We're so smart, so progressive. It's not good. There's a point where you go too far. I do like some concepts. You have to experiment. You know, that's what the liberals are good at. They're good at experimenting. But there's also a point where you can't cheat nature anymore. You know what I mean? There's limitations to what science can do. You can imagine, oh, what if science could turn me into a woman? It's like, no, you're not really doing that. You're just cutting your balls off, and that's really not what nature wanted you to do. That's kind of super unhealthy. You know what I mean? So maybe someday we could swap you. Maybe science will reach a point someday where it'll just be insane. You just turn from a boy to a girl like that, like snap of your fingers. But not now. It still hasn't happened. We haven't reached that point. You know what I mean? So, yeah, all this stuff, experimentation, chaos, all the cool stuff that liberalism gets into is great. But there is a point where you just have to accept, here's nature. Women have children, and I have a nutsack. And that's just the way it is. You have kids because it reminds you why you should appreciate life. Well, no, I take a different point of view. It's not just about appreciating life. It's also kind of a part. It's like genetic survival, basically. So there's a bit more of a even a competitive concept to it. Communist people are forced to work the upper class pigs who right. Well, exactly. Communism really does force almost a form of slavery, even though it doesn't look like it. That's basically what it is. You got people in the upper class who do extremely well, right? They're in the party. They're the important people in the party, and then everyone else stays poor. That's basically how it's always been. And then socialism's just like a step up from that, right? Socialism's not quite like that, but it gets there. It gets pretty close. And socialism works really well when everyone in the socialist country is already kind of wealthy and successful, and then it really falls off quite fast if all the people in your country are poor. Turns out if the people in your country are mostly poor, it doesn't work that well. Come on, Ray Jane. Alright, we brought him down. Life is literally all about balance. Life is literally all about insect waves. Come here, you big stinky. The S setup is like we in a movie. Even the sun has the moon. They're black and white. What? What are we saying? It must be a frustrating time to be a woman because it's like everyone has an opinion on how women should be. You know, that alone is like, you can't just be left alone. But I guess it's that way for men too, you know. Men should be this way, men should be that way. We're always in a constant discussion about the way we should be, you know. And that's really what religion is. Religion is a discussion of how we should be. But I think religions, despite being quite outdated, religions are outdated in many ways. They got some things right. They got the whole order, family order correct. And the guy becomes like Jesus. He becomes like a superhero. And then he has a wife who is his wife, right? It's not a case where, we're co-partners. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Co-partners. I don't sacrifice and die to be co-partners or anything. This is either mine and I die for it, or it's not mine and I don't die for it. You see what I'm saying? I don't sacrifice for things that aren't mine. And I understood that very intuitively at a young age. Nobody had to explain that to me, but that's basically what religions explain to you. And then women, of course, are meant to be, they're the ones who actually need protecting because they're very vulnerable when they have children, right? When you have children, you're very vulnerable. Very vulnerable. And not just that, but the child is vulnerable too, so the child needs protection too. So you make the sacrifice for the wife and the children. And this is a very is a conservative and old idea that has worked for thousands of years, and there's a reason why it works. It's because it's a good setup, and you can try to shake it up a bit. You know, I think there probably is really hardcore women that get out there and they climb the corporate ladder and have a sexy husband and have lots of children at the same time. But it's like, that won't work for a lot of people, and telling people that they have to be that way just so that they could be a little wealthier is not actually good for them. Every time I see someone play Enclave, I get the urge to go back to it, but then I remember I dislike the essence gathering. Emoji Movie says, in capitalism, you can choose whether you want to put in the work and make a path for yourself, and communism is where you're forced to do the work and reap no reward. Yeah, so the nice thing about capitalism is that it's mostly voluntary. There's counter arguments to that. I get that. Like, let's say there's one company to work for, Amazon. Well, in that case, you will probably need to create a union. So if you can only work for one place like Amazon, you will need a strong union in order to barter for better wages through collective bartering, or whatever it is, collective something. I don't know if I used the right term there. But in most cases, the system that is freest is the capitalist system. You don't like working for Target, work for Walmart. You don't like working for FedEx, work for UPS. You see what I'm saying? And maybe you're a nurse. You don't like the hospital you're working at, try to go to a different hospital and work at that one. You don't like working for the man, go start your own business. You want to be an investor? Go buy some private property, which in a communist system, very often you don't get private property. But you want, yeah. So in a capitalist society, you want to hold assets. Go buy as much stock as you can buy. Go buy some houses and be a landlord. So capitalism has its own faults. It really does. It really does. But it's still a terrific system. I got a homie that don't believe any religion and say there is no God and that we are all little specks of the universe. Hey, maybe he's right. Tell your friend maybe he's right. But the issue that I've realized as somebody who also doesn't really necessarily believe that God's definitely there, what I've realized is that the religions aren't just about saying, hey, God's real and you have to believe in my God. They're also like a guidebook for how families should be and how society should be. And religions are often fairly good at surviving. And the reason for that, the trick to their survival, is that they have you have children. And when you have children, it turns out your society survives. And so you can reason pretty well. If you don't have children, your society disappears really fast. Your culture disappears. You specifically genetically disappear. And the religion along with it disappears. So the religions that made it all the way into year 2020 are all the ones that tell you to get out there and have 10 children. And so when I look at life from more of a natural perspective, how do I be a successful animal? You look at the animal kingdom, it's the same rule. Religions are mimicking nature. You have usually a male or a female that dominates their partner, and they have a bunch of babies, and the whole game is how many babies can you have? And here we are in our modern society saying, how few babies can we have? And it's like, I don't know. How fast do you want to commit genetic suicide? It's a great question. Oh, but I have all my toys. Oh, whoop-de-friggin' do. Oh, man, it was really great jerking off for 40 years and then dying. Oh, wow, amazing. Yay. Great job. But if you have a brain where you're thinking about nobler things, like what will happen to the future generation of children? What is real progress for the human race? Real progress for the human race definitely includes, you know, being able to provide an inheritance to the future humans rather than a $30 trillion debt. Being able to actually have children. If they don't even exist, you've already failed the first step. You're not even, there is no future generation. You never had them because oh man, I don't have to take care of kids. Oh man, you know what I mean? Or oh man, I have a $60,000 student loan and I can't move into a nice house because I'm stuck on the loan. See? So you don't even have kids to leave an inheritance to. So it shows you how bad humans are doing. And if you don't want to be in the culture that fails, you got to start changing your opinions on these things fast. Anyways, that's a 3-hour stream, guys. If you liked the stream, let me know. If you didn't like the stream, keep it to yourself. No, I'm just kidding. Tell me. I've been thinking about playing some other games maybe other than Monster Hunter because I don't feel like there's a lot left to do in this game. So I would be happy to hear what kind of games you'd like to see me play. Maybe I'll play a little bit of Minecraft while we're waiting for a Latreon, but the last time I played Minecraft, there wasn't a lot of interest in it. So maybe I'll try to find a different game. Maybe a new playthrough of Dark Souls, or maybe a new playthrough of Sekiro, something. I want to thank you all for watching. It's been fun ranting at you guys a little bit, sharing some of my thoughts. I think about this stuff all the time. But it's been fun ranting with you guys and reading your thoughts as well. I'll see you guys next time, okay?